The tombstone was icy cold. And the rain fell like needles. Lin Wanqing floated above her own grave, looking at the man she had loved for 18 years and hated for half her life. Shernan stood under a black umbrella in a sharply tailored suit. His face still so handsome it made her heart tremble even though she was only a wisp of soul now. He stood before her grave in long silence. Then slowly spoke. Marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. The rain fell in a patter. His voice was low. Yet it was like a blunt knife slicing away at the remnants of her soul inch by inch. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have given up the chance to go abroad. And I wouldn't have stayed in this small town wasting 10 years. If it weren't for you, Qingqing wouldn't have died. When he mentioned their stillborn daughter, his voice finally trembled. Lin Wanqing wanted to scream. Wanted to roar. Wanted to tell him it wasn't like that back then. It was his mother who had threatened to die to force him to stay. It was his own choice to give up the offer. And Qingqing had congenital heart disease. By the time it was diagnosed, it was already too late. She had carried her daughter to hospitals all over the country and spent all their savings. But she couldn't make a single sound. In the next life. Don't meet me again. Shernan took one last look at the photo on the tombstone. Then turned and left. Never looking back. Lin Wanqing felt the last thread binding her snap. And her consciousness sank completely into darkness. When she opened her eyes again, there were the glaring white incandescent lights, the distinctive smell of chalk dust in the classroom, and the hard wooden desk and chair beneath her. Lin Wanqing looked around in a daze. Above the blackboard hung a red slogan. There are 98 days left until the college entrance exam. A portrait of Einstein was on the wall. Outside the window was the familiar playground where several boys were playing basketball. Among them was a figure leaping high to shoot. 17-year-old Lin Wanqing lowered her head to look at her hands, fair and delicate with none of the rough joints from years of housework. And no shallow scar left by Shen when he was drunk in the 3rd year after their marriage. Trembling, she reached up to touch her cheek. The skin was firm, full of collagen. On the math test spread out on the desk, the name field read Lin Wanqing. Senior year class 7. Date March 12, 2006. She was reborn. She had returned to the age of 17. To 3 days before she first met Shen. Wanqing. What's wrong? Why is your face so pale? Her deskmate Zhou Xiaoyu nudged her. Is it your period? Are you feeling unwell? Lin Wanqing turned her head and looked at her friend's young face, which had already become blurry in her memory. And tears welled up without warning. Hey, don't cry. Zhou Xiaoyu fumbled around in a panic looking for tissues. The boy in the front seat glanced back. Then turned around again indifferently. It was Chen Mo, the top student in the entire senior year. Lin Wanqing suddenly remembered that many years later, at a class reunion, she heard he never married. Some people said it was because the girl he had secretly loved in high school married someone else. She wiped away her tears hard and took a deep breath. The air was thick with the scent of youth, sweat, and hope. She was still alive. Qingqing had not been born yet. And the nightmare of carrying her daughter from doctor to doctor only to watch her stop breathing in the end had not yet happened. Shen-Nan was not yet her husband either. Not yet the man who said nothing at their daughter's funeral. The man who stood before his wife's grave and said, "Marrying you was a mistake. In this life, there was still time for everything. I'm fine." Lin Wanqing heard her own voice. Hoarse from crying. Yet unusually firm. I just had a nightmare. A nightmare that lasted 18 years. In her previous life, Lin Wanqing and Shen An's first meeting took place on March 15, 2006, Wednesday afternoon. That day, as the Chinese class representative, she went to the teacher's office to deliver homework. While going downstairs, she ran into Shen Nan, who was coming up, and the homework books in her arms scattered all over the floor. Shen Nan helped her pick them up. The moment their fingers brushed, Lin Wanqing looked up and saw the boy's smiling face in the sunlight. And her heart skipped a beat. It was the cliched yet effective opening of a youth novel. This time, Lin Wanqing left the classroom 10 minutes early, took a longer route, and went down the stairs on the other side of the teaching building, perfectly avoiding the moment that changed her life. But she still saw Shen Nan from afar. 17-year-old Shen Nan wore the school's blue and white uniform and walked through the corridor with several boys from the basketball team, arms slung over each other's shoulders. His smile was exuberant. His eyes bright. The kind of boy who shone brightest on campus. Lin Wanqing stood at the corner, her back pressed against the cold wall. listening as their footsteps and laughter gradually faded into the distance. Her heart still hurt. It turns out that the person you loved when you were young, even if given a second life, can still make your heart race when you see them again. But this time, after that flutter comes a bone-deep chill. She had seen the coldest expression on that face, heard the most hurtful things he ever said, and endured his years-long emotional abuse. May he meet the right person and find happiness. Lin Wanqing repeated softly the vow she had made when she was reborn. And may I be reborn into a new life. The first hurdle after her rebirth was her college application choices. In her past life, in order to stay with Shennan, Lin Wanqing gave up the Southern University she had always wanted to attend and instead applied to an ordinary college in her home province. Shennan had gotten into that school through a special basketball recruitment. This time, she did not hesitate and filled in her first choice slot with the Department of Chinese Language and Literature, Fudan University. It was the university she had dreamed of in her youth. But after meeting Shennan, it became a dream she gave up on so easily. Wanqing, are you really going to apply to Fudan? Homeroom teacher Mr. Li pushed up his glasses, looking a little worried. Your scores in the last few mock exams have been good, but Fudan's cut off. I can do it. Lin Wanqing's gaze was resolute. I'll give it my all. And she truly did. Rebirth brought her not only foresight, but also the tenacity forged by adulthood and life's hardships. She knew she had more resilience than a real 17-year-old girl and could endure loneliness better than most. Every morning she got up at 5 o'clock to memorize English, solved one math problem during each 10-minute break, and reviewed the liberal arts subjects late at night under a small flashlight in bed. She lost 8 jeans and dark circles always lingered under her eyes, but her gaze grew brighter and brighter. Josie, you felt sorry for her. Are you trying to become the top scholar? Lin Wanqing just smiled. She not only wanted to get into college, but to get in far, far away. Away from this small city with Shennan. Away from that fated tragic marriage. In mid-April, the school held its spring sports meet. According to the course of her previous life, Shennan would win the men's 3000 m race, and Lin Wanqing, as part of the class support staff, would hand him water. When Shennan took the water, sweat slid down from the corner of his forehead, and he smiled at her. Thanks, classmate. That was their second encounter. This time, Lin Wanqing signed up for the women's 1500 m. She had calculated the schedule. The women's race would be before the men's after she finished running. She would head back to the classroom early to review on the excuse that she wasn't feeling well. The plan was perfect. Until she stood at the starting line and saw Shennan warming up beside the track. He was obviously also participating in some event and had come early to prepare. Their eyes met briefly in the air. Lin Wanqing quickly looked away, but her heartbeat sped up uncontrollably. On your marks. Get set. The starting gun rang out. Lin Wanqing sprinted forward. The emotions that had been pent up since her rebirth seemed to find an outlet. She ran faster and faster, the wind howling past her ears, her lungs burning, her legs heavy as lead. Yet she kept accelerating. Her vision gradually blurred, and the noise from the stands grew distant. She just ran with all her might, as if she could outrun the shadows of her past life and run toward a brand new future. As she crossed the finish line, Lin Wanqing's legs gave way and she stumbled forward. The expected pain never came. A pair of arms caught her steadily. A familiar scent. One that had once embraced her countless times. Lin Wanqing suddenly looked up and met Shin and startled gaze. He clearly hadn't expected himself to rush over and catch her on instinct either. At that moment, the two of them were in an awkward position, almost as if they were embracing. Thank you. Lin Wanqing steadied herself and took a step back to put some distance between them. Shannon withdrew his hand and rubbed the back of his head. You were really giving it your all running. You okay? I'm fine. Lin Wanqing turned to leave. Wait. Shannon stopped her and handed over an unopened bottle of mineral water. Have some water. Lin Wanqing stared at the bottle of water, recalling the same scene from her past life. Only back then, she was the one handing over the water, full of joy. Now, she was the one receiving it, filled with desolation. No need. I have my own. She took out her own water bottle from her bag and left the field without looking back. Shannon stood where he was, watching the stubborn back of the girl as she walked away. His brow slightly furrowed. A guy from the basketball team next to him leaned over and said, Yo. Even young Master Shin gets rejected. What nonsense. Shin and unscrewed the bottle of water and took a gulp. But his gaze still involuntarily followed that figure disappearing behind the school building door. Strange. Had he noticed this girl before? It seemed to have been at the speech under the national flag in their second year of high school. She had been so nervous her voice trembled. Yet, she stood straight as a rod. Later, when they occasionally ran into each other in the hallway, she always kept her head down and hurried past. Today on the track, the way she bit her lip and rushed forward with all her strength was like a little beast refusing to give in. Shin Nan shook his head and tossed the empty water bottle into the trash can. What was he thinking? Right now, the most important things were the college entrance exam and the basketball special recruitment test. At the beginning of May, the results of the citywide joint exam were released, and Lin Wanqing broke into the top 10 in her grade. This was the best result she had ever achieved in either life. On the day the rankings were announced, she stood in front of the honor board for a long time, looking at her name for the first time appearing beneath Shin Nan. She was 5th in the grade. The distance between them had once been her looking up at him. Later, in marriage, it was her chasing after him. And in the end, separated by life and death, he had his back to her. And now, it was only the gap of a few lines on a list of names. Awesome. Lin Wanqing. Zhou Xiaoyu said excitedly, patting her on the shoulder. At this rate, Fudan is in the bag. Lin Wanqing smiled. But her gaze fell on Shin Nan's name. She remembered that in her previous life, Shin Nan had performed poorly in the college entrance exam and barely crossed the first-tier admission line, only getting into the Provincial Sports Institute thanks to his basketball specialty. In this life, without her interference, would he make a different choice? She shook her head, casting away these pointless thoughts. His future had nothing to do with her anymore. In the final month before the college entrance exam, Lin Wanqing practically lived in the library. One Saturday afternoon, she was buried in practice questions when someone sat down in the seat opposite her. She didn't pay much attention until she finished an English test and looked up, only to find Shin sitting across from her. Their eyes met and both of them froze. The reading room of the library was very quiet. Sunlight filtered through the blinds and cast light and shadow across the floor while dust danced in the beams. 17-year-old Shin wore a simple white t-shirt. His hair cut a little shorter than before, making him look clean and fresh. He clearly hadn't expected to run into her here, either. For a moment, his expression turned awkward. Then he pointed to the workbook spread open in front of him and mouthed, "Review." Lin Wanqing nodded, lowered her head again. Yet she could no longer concentrate. She could feel Shin Nan's gaze occasionally falling on her. In her previous life, starting in the 3rd year after their marriage, he rarely looked at her like that anymore. At first, it was impatience, later indifference, and in the end, complete disregard. Her heart ached with a fine, dense pain. So, wounds don't disappear just because of rebirth. They're only buried. And with the slightest touch, they still bleed profusely. Lin Wanqing packed up her things and stood. Shin Nan stood up almost at the same time, lowering his voice. "Leaving. Let's go together," Shin Nan said, his voice sounding especially clear in the silent reading room. Drawing a few glances from the students nearby, Lin Wanqing wanted to refuse. But Shin Nan had already neatly packed up his school bag and followed behind her out of the reading room. On an evening in early June, the heat of summer had yet to dissipate. The two of them walked side by side along the tree-lined path. Silent for a moment, Shin Nan spoke first. "Do you dislike me?" Lin Wanqing's steps faltered. "Why do you ask that?" "I feel like you're avoiding me." Shin Nan turned his head to look at her. The setting sun gilded the side of his face in gold. "Back at the sports meet. And whenever we run into each other in the hallway, you always take a detour." Lin Wanqing remained silent. She hadn't expected Shin Nan to be this perceptive. In her previous life, around this time, he hadn't paid her any attention at all. "We're not familiar with each other. So, it's hard to say whether I like you or dislike you." She heard her own voice, calm and steady. "But I want to get to know you." Shin Nan stopped walking and looked at her earnestly. "Lin Wanqing. Class 7 of grade 12. The Chinese language representative. You like reading Zhang Ailing and hate math. Your essays are very well written. At last Monday's flag-raising ceremony, you gave a speech as an outstanding student representative. You wrote the script yourself, didn't you? That line, youth is a dazzling, flowing galaxy of fireflies. Brilliant yet fleeting. I really like it." Lin Wanqing was stunned. She had fought for that speech herself. And the really had been written by her. But she hadn't expected Shannon to remember. How? I've been paying attention to you for a long time, Shannon admitted, the boyish bluntness in his tone carrying a rare sincerity. Ever since that awkward flag-raising speech in 11th grade. You were clearly so nervous your hands were shaking. But you still got through the whole thing. Later, I started noticing you always sat by the window in the library. You'd go to the art room on Tuesdays and Thursdays to watch people draw. And on rainy days, you'd rather get soaked than share an umbrella with a classmate. Enough. Lin Wanqing cut him off, her voice trembling slightly. Shannon, we're not meant to know each other. Why? Shannon pressed, standing in front of her. How do you know if you don't even try? Because I've already tried. Lin Wanqing answered in her heart. I used my whole life to try until my heart died and my soul scattered. Until I heard you at my grave say you regretted marrying me. There's no why. She walked around him. I'm going home. Shannon didn't come after her. But his voice came from behind. Lin Wanqing. Shanghai Institute of Physical Education sent me a pre-admission notice. Lin Wanqing didn't stop walking. But her heart sank. In her past life, Shannon never received a provisional admission from Shanghai University of Sport. Had the course of events already begun to change? Because of her deliberate avoidance, had she instead caught the attention of the young Shannon? The college entrance examination arrived as scheduled. When the final exam bell rang, Lin Wanqing put down her pen and let out a long sigh of relief. She had done her best. No matter the result. In this life, she had fought for herself. Walking out of the examination hall, the area outside the teaching building was already boiling with noise. Students cheered as they threw their review materials into the air, pages fluttering down like snow. Lin Wanqing made her way through the crowd and saw Zhou Xiao waiting at the school gate. And standing beside Zhou Xiao, Shannon. Wanqing. Zhou Xiao waved excitedly at her and squeezed over to hug her. We're free. Shannon stood a few steps away, looking at her with a smile. At that moment, time seemed to flow backward. Lin Wanqing remembered the day the college entrance exam ended in her previous life. Shannon had also waited at the school gate like this, then walked over and held her hand for the first time. Lin Wanqing. Shin walked over holding 2 cans of iced cola in his hands. He handed her one. Want to celebrate? The classmates around them started teasing. Shin was a campus celebrity, and such a move would undoubtedly draw attention. Lin Wanqing didn't take the cola. Thanks. I don't drink carbonated beverages. That was the truth. In her previous life, after Qing fell ill, she had given up all unhealthy eating habits. And after being reborn, she had kept them up all along. Shannon's hand froze in midair, his gaze dimming for a moment. But he quickly smiled again. Then, how about we go have a farewell meal together? The class organized it. At the Wiley Hotel. I have something to take care of at home. Lin Wanqing looked at Zhou Su. Su. Let's go. Zhou Su looked at her. Then at Shin. And after hesitating for a moment, still followed Lin Wanqing and left. After walking a long way, Zhou Su finally asked in a low voice. Wanqing. You really don't like Shin? He seems pretty into you. Over the past 6 months, I've noticed him running into you in the hallway several times, watching you run on the track. And last time you were studying at the library. He kept going there, too. Lin Wanqing did not answer. She couldn't say. It wasn't that she didn't like him. It was that she had liked him too much before. Liked him until she was covered in wounds. Liked him until she no longer dared to touch it again. When the college entrance exam results were announced, Lin Wanqing was admitted to Fudan University with the 3rd highest score in liberal arts in the city. The day the admission letter arrived, her mother cried. And her father was so happy that he treated the whole family to a meal at a restaurant. Looking at the bright red admission letter, Lin Wanqing also had red-rimmed eyes. In this life, she had seized her own future. In mid-August, it was the high school class reunion. Lin Wanqing originally didn't want to go, but Zhou Xiaoyu kept pestering her. It's the last time. After this, everyone will be scattered across the country and the world. It'll be hard to see each other again. In the large private room at Yulai restaurant, there were more than 30 people seated. Shannon was there, too, sitting among the boys and being toasted in turn. He had indeed been admitted to Shanghai University of Sport. Lin Wanqing sat at the girls' table, eating quietly and occasionally replying to classmates who struck up conversation. Halfway through the gathering, Shen Nan came over with a wine glass in hand and sat down in the empty seat beside her. "Congratulations," he said. His gaze somewhat unfocused, clearly having had quite a bit to drink. "You did amazing." "Congratulations to you, too," Lin Wanqing replied politely. "Shanghai is pretty big," Shen Nan said, turning the wine glass in his hand. "But if we want to meet, it shouldn't be difficult, right?" Lin Wanqing looked at him and suddenly asked. "Shen Nan, what do you like about me?" Shen Nan froze, seemingly not expecting her to be so direct. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I just keep thinking about you. Wanting to know what you're doing. Wanting to see you smile. You're very cold toward me. But that only makes me want to get closer. Does that count as liking you?" "It does," Lin Wanqing answered in her heart. Isn't the purest kind of heartbeat in youth exactly like this? No reason. No logic. It was precisely such a pure beginning. How did it later become so unbearable? Shen Wan. Lin Wanqing looked into his eyes seriously. "Let's not meet anymore. Not in Shanghai and not in the future either." The smile on Shen Wan's face disappeared. "Why? Give me a reason." Because Lin Wanqing paused for a long time before finally saying, "We're not right for each other. You're going to pursue a career in basketball and I need to focus on my studies. Our worlds are different. Forcing them to overlap would only drag us down." Shen Wan fell silent. After a long while, he said in a low voice, "How do you know we'd drag each other down? Maybe we could help each other grow. I can't afford to take that gamble." Lin Wanqing stood up. "So, let's leave it at that." She left the table early. When she walked out of the restaurant, she heard footsteps chasing after her from behind. She didn't look back, only quickened her pace and almost ran off. The streetlights had just come on and the summer night breeze was warm. As Lin Wanqing kept running, her tears finally fell. This time, it really was goodbye. College life unfolded just as Lin Wanqing had expected. She studied the major she loved, joined the literature club, spent time in the library, and volunteered at the museum on weekends. In her sophomore year, she met Chen Wan at a book club meeting. The Chen Wan who used to sit in the seat in front of her in high school, always buried in a sea of practice questions, was now wearing black-rimmed glasses. He was still slender, but his gaze was even calmer. "Lin Wanqing." Chen Wan was clearly surprised, too. "Didn't expect to run into you here. You're studying at Fudan." Lin Wanqing remembered that Chen Imo had excellent grades. But in her previous life, he had gone to Tsinghua. "Yeah. Computer science." Chen Imo pushed up his glasses. "What about you?" "Chinese language and literature department." The two chatted for a while and discovered they were both from Jiangqing, which gave them a lot in common. Although Chen Imo studied computer science, he read widely, could discuss literature with her, and could also analyze problems rationally. They gradually became more familiar with each other. Lin Wanqing realized that Chen Imo was very different from when they were in high school. He still didn't talk much, but every word he said was well thought out. He remembered her preferences, would save her a seat when they ran into each other at the library, and would quietly leave a box of medicine under her dormitory building when she caught a cold. On Christmas of their junior year, Chen Imo asked her to go see a movie. After the screening ended, the two walked along the snow-filled streets, and Chen Imo suddenly said, "In high school, I passed you a note. It was tucked inside your Chinese textbook." Lin Wanqing froze, trying hard to remember. She had no recollection of this at all. "You probably didn't see it. Or you saw it and didn't pay attention." Chen Imo smiled, a little self-mockingly. It said, "That sentence in your essay was very good. What growth means is learning to coexist with regret." Lin Wanqing remembered. It was during a sophomore year monthly exam, and the essay prompt was regret. She wrote a story about missing out and letting go, and used that line in it. After the papers were returned, she found an anonymous note tucked inside her book with only that one sentence. Back then, she thought it was some kind of prank and casually threw it away. "Did you write that?" "MHM." Chen Imo nodded. "I didn't dare sign my name back then. You were together with Shinan." "We were never together," Lin Wanqing said softly. "Never." Chen Imo stopped walking and looked at her seriously. "What about now? Is he still in your eyes now?" Lin Wanqing was silent for a long time. Snowflakes fell on her eyelashes and melted into tiny droplets. "Chen Imo," she finally said, "there are many wounds in my heart and they may never heal. That wouldn't be fair to you." "I don't need fairness." Chen Imo's voice was especially clear in the snowy night. It took me 3 years to finally dare to stand in front of you again. If you need time, I can wait. If you can never forget him, I can be just a friend. But please, at least give me a chance to let me prove that not all love turns into regret. Lin Wanqing looked into his sincere eyes and remembered the rumor from her past life Chen Imo never married because the girl he had secretly loved in high school had married someone else. If that was true, a sharp pain shot through her heart. Give me some tea. IME, she said. In the spring of her senior year, Lin Wanqing went to a bookstore near the Shanghai University of Sport to buy some reference materials and unexpectedly ran into Shinan. He had changed a lot taller and more solidly built, wearing a tracksuit, with a petite girl beside him. The girl was holding his arm, smiling sweetly. Shinan saw her too, and his steps clearly came to a halt. Their eyes met and time seemed to stand still. Soft music flowed through the bookstore. Sunlight streamed in through the glass windows and the dust in the air was clearly visible. In the end, Shinan walked over first, with the girl following behind him. Long time no see, Shinan said, his voice calm. Long time no see. Lin Wanqing smiled. Your girlfriend. She's beautiful. The girl blushed. But Shinan did not deny it. They exchanged a few polite words about recent developments. Lin Wanqing was preparing for the postgraduate entrance exam, and Shinan had joined the school basketball team and might pursue a professional path. The conversation was courteous and distant, like that of the most ordinary former acquaintances. As he was leaving, Shinan suddenly said, Lin Wanqing. You're right. Lin Wanqing looked at him. We really aren't a good match. Shinan smiled, with a hint of relief in his smile. I'm too self-centered. And you're too strong-willed. If we really got together, we'd probably just end up holding each other back. Lin Wanqing's throat tightened, and she couldn't say a word. However, Shinan looked at her, his gaze complicated. I still want to know, if I had persisted in pursuing you back then, would the ending have been different? Lin Wanqing gently shook her head. There are no ifs. You're doing very well now. And that's enough. Shinan nodded. Yes, that's enough. Take care. Take care. Shinan turned around and left the bookstore with his girlfriend. Lin Wanqing stood where she was, watching his figure disappear around the street corner, and suddenly burst into tears. Not from sadness, not from regret, but from a complete sense of relief. In this life, they could finally go on living well in their own lives. After graduating from graduate school, Lin Wanqing stayed on at the university to teach. At 28, she married Chen Mo. The wedding was simple, with only close relatives and friends invited. Zhou Xiaoyu was the bridesmaid, and she cried even harder than the bride. You must be happy. Both of you must be happy. When exchanging rings, Chen Mo's hands were trembling. The man, known for his composure in Silicon Valley's venture capital circles, was so nervous at that moment he looked like a 17-year-old boy. Wanqing, he whispered in her ear. For the rest of my life, I will do everything I can to make sure you never regret choosing me. Lin Wanqing remembered what Shinan had said in her previous life in front of her grave. Marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. She tightened her grip on Chen Mo's hand and smiled as she said, I never regret it. In the second year after marriage, Lin Wanqing became pregnant. The joy of pregnancy was shattered during the first major anomaly scan. The doctor said with a grave expression, there seems to be a problem with the fetus's heart, and further tests are needed. At that moment, Lin Wanqing felt as if she had fallen into an icy abyss. The nightmare from her previous life surged back again. The tiny body, the faint breathing, and in the end, gradually growing cold in her arms. Wanqing. Wanqing. Chen Mo held her ice-cold hand. The doctor said it's only a suspected case, and we need more detailed examinations. Besides, medical science is so advanced now. Many congenital heart defects can be treated. Further tests confirmed that the fetus did have a heart problem. But the situation was more optimistic than the one Lin Wanqing remembered from her past life with Qing Qing. It was a ventricular septal defect, and it could be cured through surgery after birth. We'll stay with her. Chen Mo held Lin Wanqing's hand tightly. We'll get through this together. The day the child was born, Lin Wanqing cried uncontrollably in the delivery room. It wasn't because of pain, but fear. Fear that history would repeat itself. Fear of losing again. But when the nurse placed that wrinkled little baby on her chest and the child let out a loud cry, Lin Wanqing suddenly felt that this life was different. She had Chen Mo, better medical conditions, and a heart that knew in advance and was prepared. Their daughter was named Chen Shi. meaning the morning sunlight. When little, she was 3 months old. She underwent surgery. Lin Wanqing and Chen Mo held each other tightly outside the operating room. 5 hours later, the doctor came out and said with a smile, "The surgery was very successful." At that moment, Lin Wanqing leaned against Chen Mo's shoulder and cried like a child. This time, they were tears of joy. Xiaoxia recovered very well. By the age of 3, she was no different from a normal child. Lively, cheerful, and especially fond of clinging to her father to tell stories. Lin Wanqing often looked at her daughter's sleeping face, grateful to the heavens for giving her a second chance. In 2019, the 15th anniversary reunion of their high school classmates, Lin Wanqing attended with Chen Mo, while Xiaoxia was left in her grandmother's care. At the reunion, she saw many old classmates, including Zhao Ziyash, who was now the owner of an early childhood education institution. Shrewd and capable, but when she saw Lin Wanqing, she still rushed over for a hug just like she had in high school. Shernan had also come. He looked much more mature, dressed in a casual suit, and without a female companion by his side. According to a classmate, after breaking up with his college girlfriend, he had remained single and was now running a sports training institute in Shanghai, which was thriving. The two nodded to each other from a distance without speaking. Halfway through the gathering, Lin Wanqing went to the terrace for some fresh air and found Shannon there as well. Looking at his phone, hearing footsteps, Shannon looked up, froze for a moment, then put away his phone. "Out here for some fresh air." Lin Wanqing walked to the railing and the night breeze lifted her long hair. Silence spread between the two of them. In the distance were the city's dazzling lights. Nearby, the singing and laughter drifting out from the private room. "How is your daughter?" Shannon asked suddenly. Lin Wanqing was surprised. "How did you know?" "Josie, you told me," Shannon said with a smile. "She said your daughter is very cute. Just like you. She also said that your husband treats you very well." Lin Wanqing nodded. "She's very well. The surgery was a success and now she's a healthy child. Chen Mo. He really does treat me very well." "That's good." Shannon looked into the distance. The side of his face somewhat blurred in the night. "Actually, for a while, I used to have a dream a lot." Lin Wanqing's heart skipped a beat. "In my dream, I married you." Shannon's voice was very soft as if talking to himself. "We were very unhappy, tormenting each other. And in the end, you left. I always wake up in the middle of the dream and then I can't sleep the whole night." He turned to look at her. His gaze deep. "Strange, isn't it? We've never even really been together and yet I'd have such a dream." Lin Wanqing took a deep breath, letting the night wind cool her burning cheeks. "Dreams are the opposite of reality. Look, we're both doing very well now." "Yes, very well." Shannon smiled, this time with true relief. "Your husband, what kind of man is he?" Lin Wanqing thought of Chen Mo. She thought of his clumsy concern, his quiet companionship, the way he held her hand outside the operating room, the silhouette of him getting up in the middle of the night to feed their daughter. "He's a very good man," she said softly. "He doesn't talk much, but he always does more than he says. He remembers all my likes and dislikes and supports every decision I make." The day my daughter had surgery, he kept holding my hand outside the operating room and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." Shannon listened quietly, then nodded. "It sounds like he suits you better than I do." "Shannon," Lin Wanqing said, looking at him seriously, "you'll meet someone who's right for you, too. It's just that person isn't me." Shannon looked at her for a long time before finally raising the water glass in his hand and making a toast-like gesture. "To the right person. To the right person." Lin Wanqing smiled. On the way home, Chen Mo was driving and Lin Wanqing sat in the passenger seat, looking out at the streaks of light outside the window. "Are you happy tonight?" Chen Mo asked. Lin Wanqing held his hand. "Very happy." The car stopped at a red light. Chen Mo turned to look at her. "I saw it. You were talking with Shannon on the terrace." Lin Wanqing's heart tightened. "Don't be nervous." Chen Mo smiled. "I just want to tell you. I never ask about your past because I believe your present and future belong to me." Lin Wanqing's eyes grew hot. "Chen Mo. But if you want to say it, I'm always willing to listen." The light turned green and Chen Mo started the car again. "All your stories, happy or sad, I want to know them because they're all part of you." Looking at her husband's earnest profile, Lin Wanqing suddenly understood that true love is not a firework that burns itself out. but a steady companionship that endures over time, not entanglement that tortures each other, but protection that fulfills one another. Let's go home, she said. She must be missing us. Okay. Let's go home. The car merged into the night traffic heading toward the warm future that belonged to them. And Lin Wanqing knew that the heart-stirring moment of that summer when she was 17. That mistaken marriage that had never even begun yet had played out in her memory as a lifetime. And that man who had said he regretted it before her grave had all finally, truly, and forever been left behind in the previous life. In this life, she had avoided the wrong beginning and met the right person. The one who would stand outside the operating room and say, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." The person who made her believe that love doesn't have to be earth-shattering as long as it flows gently and they protect each other. It is beautiful enough. That's enough. Big sister. You need to think this through. A child this old already has memories and is mostly hard to raise. It would be better to adopt that newborn baby. The familiar voice of my younger sister echoed in my ears. Didn't I already die? How can I still hear my sister's voice? I looked at my own hands. These were fair, plump, and most importantly, young hands. Definitely not the hands that were nothing but skin and bones, covered in age spots before I died. I recall all the melodramatic rebirth plots from short videos in my past life. And I realized that I have also been reborn. Outie. You're right. Raising a child is a big deal and needs careful consideration. I'll discuss it further with your brother-in-law. All right. Then you go ahead with your work. We'll go see that child together on Saturday. Hearing my sister's familiar voice, I remembered how she was the only one by my side before my death in my past life. In my past life. Xiaoshi. Shouty. Has Xiaoshi come back? I want to see her one more time. Perhaps it was a final surge of energy. But even in my critically ill state, I managed to utter a few broken words. I strained to look up and read the words on my sister's phone. My usually poor eyesight suddenly seeing them with startling clarity. Not going back. Those three light, indifferent words were the most familiar and most heart-wrenching 3 words to me. My death sentence. The profile picture was of her. The one I often stared at. The one I raised as my daughter. The adopted daughter I often miss. Who never replies to my messages when I send them in my free time. And who only ever replies with 3 words during holidays. Not going back. Sister. Just hold on for one more day. Xiaoshi is on her way back. Only my younger sister's tearful voice could be heard by the sickbed. Yet I could clearly see the anger and sorrow on her face. I wanted to tell her that I knew. That I had seen the message. That there was no need to lie to me. But in the end, I couldn't manage to say it. Perhaps my resentment ran too deep. And my soul drifted involuntarily toward an unknown place. Looking at the luxurious, newly renovated apartment with brand new furniture and appliances on the TV wall. There were still a few red characters that read blessings for the new home that hadn't been torn off. Mom. The food at that restaurant we just went to is really good. I'll take you there again next time I'm on leave. 2 women who looked about 60 to 70% alike walked in through the door. Mom. I recognized her immediately. It was my adopted daughter whom I hadn't seen in over a decade. But the one over there. I instantly realized that was her biological mother. The taste is good. But it's too expensive. The older one said. It's not very expensive. Just over 1,000. Me. Is a meal really over 1,000? So expensive. A phone rang. And Guji picked it up. Glanced at the caller ID. And hung up impatiently. But the phone rang again as if determined to keep calling until the owner answered. Guji. I already said I'm not going back. I'm very busy with work. If there's nothing important, just stop calling. What are you looking at? What's so interesting to watch? Before the other side could say anything, she snapped impatiently. Guji. My sister is gone. You ungrateful wretch. My sister supported you all the way through graduate school. And you didn't even come back to see her one last time. Would you be where you are today without her? You've studied so much that you've lost your conscience. The furious roar of her sister echoed from inside. But before she could curse a few more words, Guji hung up the phone. Blocked and deleted the number swift and decisive as if she hadn't hesitated at all. Xiaoshi. Maybe you should go back and see your foster mother off. After all, she raised you. The woman beside her said cautiously. No. I'd rather not. Lest they cling to me when I go back. Guji said heartlessly. Back then. It wasn't that I didn't want you. I thought your grandparents were taking good care of you. By the time I found out, You had already been adopted by her. Her mother explained anxiously, carefully watching her daughter's expression. I understand. Mom. You should go back first. I need some quiet. Guji said with an expressionless face, uttering words that were deeply moving. All right. I'll head back then. You should try to think positively. It was her good fortune to be able to adopt such an outstanding daughter like you, she added, not forgetting to slip in a subtle jab as she left. Gushi sat quietly all afternoon. I drifted around her house, looking at the place and everything in it. And the more I saw, the more resentful I became. We truly raised an ungrateful wretch. I should have realized it long ago. During her graduate studies, she never once asked how I was doing, only sending messages when she needed money. After graduation, she disappeared completely. She didn't even let me know where she was working. I knew nothing except her phone number. When her father-in-law passed away, she didn't come back either. She didn't come back even when her husband was seriously ill, offering no words of concern or care, only transferring 2,000 yuan. Perhaps not even enough for 2 of her meals. It was the same when I fell ill. I once asked her why she acted this way, but she never replied. The messages I sent rarely received any response. During festivals, a simple "I'm not coming back" and a transfer of a few hundred to 2,000 yuan should have made it clear. As others have said, we raised someone else's child. And when the child grows up and becomes successful, they no longer recognize us. Regret reached its peak at this moment. Had I the chance to start over, I would never raise someone else's child again. Heaven has blessed me with a second chance. And I will never raise someone else's child again. It's just that it would be hard to explain if I suddenly said I wouldn't take in any of the children I had previously agreed to. So, I still have to go to the welfare center on Saturday. Now, I need to find a reason to keep my husband from quitting his job. It seems his factory will shut down in 6 or 7 years. And with his current position, he could receive over 100,000 in compensation by then. In my past life, the two of us often regretted this. A sum of over 100,000 in a small county was considered a huge amount back then. With the compensation, the couple could cooperate on treatment and try to have their own child. If lucky, a few 10,000 might be enough. Gu Qian. I've thought about it. Maybe you shouldn't quit your job at the hardware factory yet. Starting your own business is too risky. It's better to keep a stable job for a few years and save some money. I heard that big hospitals in higher can treat our condition, but it costs around 100,000. If we save carefully and borrow some from relatives and friends, we can go together to see an expert and eventually have our own child. The husband, who had been someone indifferent, immediately leaned in with seriousness upon hearing the possibility of having his own child. Men don't want to have children of their own. Really? Who told you that? What about the adoption? Didn't we agree on that? Even real pearls aren't as precious as real ones. Raising a child isn't easy. Raising your own biological child doesn't guarantee filial piety, let alone an adopted one. I've been meaning to say, the older one who's already 10 and has memories is the hardest to handle. If you're too lenient in raising her, she might feel neglected. If you're too strict, she might think you're being harsh. What I fear most is putting in all that effort to raise her into a capable adult, only for her to turn around and reconnect with her biological parents. Back then, many people said the same thing as my husband, but I stubbornly believed it was because she had grown up. In the future, I don't expect her to repay us with great wealth or success. Even if she just shows a little more care and understanding in everyday words, I feel all the effort I've made is worth it. Their hearts would also feel sweet and warm. Unexpectedly, everyone else's eyes are sharp and clear, while only I am blind and foolish. On Saturday morning, my sister and I bought some fruit and bread and went to the welfare home to visit the children under the guise of showing kindness. Seeing a dozen innocent little faces, I truly felt that I had truly come back to life. Why have you suddenly changed your mind about adoption? I don't mean anything by it, but I think that girl is quite good. Although she hasn't been here long, I can tell she's well behaved. The director asked in surprise when she heard we had changed our minds. You're a sensible person, Dean. And I won't hide it from you. I'm hoping that in a few years, with advances in medical technology, I can have a child of my own. Please don't laugh at these old-fashioned rural ideas. I pretended to feel a bit embarrassed and smiled. So, that's how it is. It's just that I feel sorry for this child. Her father passed away in an accident, and her mother took the compensation money and disappeared. She had to live with her grandparents. but they both passed away within 2 years of each other. We really had no way to contact her mother, so we brought her here. She has always been an excellent student. With proper nurturing, she will surely have a bright future. And she will remember your kindness. The dean was only right about the first part. The second part, however, was a misjudgment of the person. The world is rarely short of ungrateful people. Those who stand by others in times of need are often common folk, while those who betray trust are frequently the educated. She was the latter. I gazed through the window at that familiar yet unfamiliar face, her frail body framed by a round, delicate face, her high nose bridge appearing sweet and innocent in the sunlight. Yet I had personally experienced her cruelty in full. I clearly remember that in the second year after her graduation, I saw children around her age getting married. And once I had to call for a long time before she answered the phone. What now? If you have something to say, just get it out. I'm busy. The words came out as an impatient rebuke. I thought I was disturbing her work. So I nervously said, Mom, did I interrupt your work? It's nothing important. Just wanted to ask if you have a boyfriend. What? So eager to get your hands on my betrothal gifts already. The impatient tone cut deep into my heart. It seems like every time I speak, it annoys her. It's as if I adopted her just for her dowry. For the few $1,000s she might give as charity after achieving success. There's no affection at all. I also want to see if she can reach the heights of her previous life without the contributions of our family. Will she ever have a loving mother-daughter relationship with her biological mother? Chi. This is the last time I'll call you that. In my past life, adopting you without your consent and raising you is my biggest mistake. In this life, without me, wherever you go and whatever you do, it has nothing to do with our Gu family anymore. I silently thought to myself. I never intended to seek revenge on her like in those melodramatic rebirth stories I watched in my past life. I'm just an ordinary housewife. Heaven gave me a chance to start over. And I must work harder to live a happy life. Perhaps every time I see Gushi in the future, it will remind me of my past life. And that's what bothers me the most. Director, what were those two ants here for just now? Yaya also asked the director nervously, glancing at Gushi. In fact, when she was brought to the welfare home, she already knew that if she couldn't contact her mother, she might be adopted. Actually, Yaya didn't want to be adopted at all. She still hoped to find her mother. In her memory, her mother was gentle and must have had her reasons. Yaya often wondered if her mother would suddenly appear like in TV dramas, bringing delicious snacks, beautiful clothes, and gifts to take her away and say that there was a reason she left back then. If she appeared, she would reluctantly forgive her. Even if she had made her the subject of children's teasing, saying she was born but not raised by a mother, she would still forgive her. Unfortunately, television is just television. A year later, the police finally managed to contact her mother. Her mother said she had remarried and had 2 children of her own and could no longer take care of Yaya. The police said that in this case, the portion of Yaya's father's compensation belonging to her must be handed over to the welfare home for temporary custody. And only then could Yaya be brought to live with them. Over the course of a year, several groups of people came to the welfare center intending to adopt children. Yet no one ever considered Yaya. Child of this age already has memories and can clearly recall information about their biological family's address and parents. In such cases, a child taken in may either grow up grateful and show you warmth and care in the future, or once they grow up and no longer need to rely on you, they might turn their back on the one who showed them kindness. Even one's own children might look down on them when they grow old. Let alone this kind of situation. Raising them well doesn't guarantee gratitude. If anything falls short of expectations, it will be compared to the parents in her memory. A small kindness is forgotten, but a slight offense is remembered. Instead of raising a child, you end up raising an enemy. Yaya didn't feel happy when she came to her mother's side. Over the past year, she spent her days at school and returned to the orphanage at night. Did you hear? Yaya has become an orphan. Really? It's true. My mom said her grandparents passed away and her mother remarried long ago. After taking the money, her uncles, aunts, and relatives are all struggling to make ends meet themselves and no one wants her. The place she used to live in belonged to her uncle and now that her grandmother has passed away, it's been taken back. She was sent to a welfare institution. No wonder she doesn't take the same route back and forth anymore. That's really tough for her. There's also an orphan in the class next door. Big Flower. I heard she was married off by her brother right after finishing elementary school. What do you mean married off? My mom said she was sold. Yaya often heard such words. From initially rushing out to fight with people to later becoming numb, she secretly harbored toward her mother in her heart. She worked even harder and more diligently, and her already good grades improved even further. The homeroom teacher noticed her maturity and felt heartbroken for her. Besides restraining the classmates from bullying her, the teacher also gave her food from home and clothes that their own children no longer wore. Once during a holiday, the homeroom teacher brought some chicken done buying glutinous rice cakes made by her mother-in-law from home. They were a deep, dark green color different from the white glutinous rice cakes common in the area. Afraid that Yaya might not be used to the taste, the teacher made a point of asking if she wanted some. Yaya was very grateful and thanked the teacher. However, when the teacher was inspecting the classroom's cleanliness, she was stunned to see the glutinous rice cakes in the flower bed. Worried she might have misunderstood, she specifically called Yaya over to ask, "Yaya, did you like the glutinous rice cakes I gave you yesterday? Were they sweet?" "It's very sweet. I really like it. Thank you, teacher." Yaya's face was filled with discomfort. The homeroom teacher immediately knew she was lying, and upon hearing her response felt even more regretful. This child had excellent grades, but her character was clearly flawed. People in the teacher's hometown preferred salty flavors, so the filling in that rice cake was not sweet at all. Since then, Yaya clearly felt that the teacher no longer cared about her as much as before. She thought the teacher was just like her classmates. I thought to myself, it's definitely all an act. Last time he even gave me those sticky rice cakes that looked filthy. Luckily, I threw them away back at the store. I looked at the various items clearly priced in front of me. Suddenly, I remembered that in my previous life around this time, the landlord suddenly said he was selling the house and told me to move out as soon as possible. Later, I heard that his son had lost a lot of money gambling and creditors had come knocking on the door. A house originally worth over 100,000 can now be sold for just 60,000 in a hurry. Moreover, in another 5 or 6 years, the nearby hills will be cleared to build a foreign language school covering kindergarten through high school. By then, the houses on these streets will become the top choice for parents accompanying their children to school and various small eateries. Landlords are like iron, tenants like flowing water. Gwichin. I heard the landlord is planning to sell this house and I want to buy it. I've been running this small shop here for so many years and I've always relied on regular customers. If I move, I'll lose some of them right away. Besides, many of the newly built places now have higher rents. Evenings are not just for marital harmony, but also the perfect time to discuss important matters that must cost a lot of money. Right. Didn't you say we'd have a child once we saved enough? Why are you suddenly changing your mind? My husband looked at me suspiciously. Yes. But that would be years from now when technology has advanced further and doctors have more experience, increasing our chances of success. Right now, I heard the landlord is in a hurry to sell this house. Cheap. If it's not a good deal, we won't buy it. I saw my husband was still hesitant and I understood why. At that time, children in our third-tier city were attending schools in their respective districts and parents didn't have the awareness to buy homes in school zones. But as more and more children go to the cities to study, rural schools are struggling to stay open. By the time the policy of one household, one property is implemented, housing prices near schools will have already skyrocketed. My cousin's father-in-law's younger sister's younger brother works in the Education Bureau and there's insider news that policies will change in a few years followed by a bunch of chatter. I do have such a relative, but they don't know someone like me. According to the rule of finding connections for favors, trusting insiders for business, my husband wavered. I immediately stepped up the persuasion. Besides, if we buy now, when the baby is born, he can grow up near us, and when we bring our parents over to help take care of the child, we'll have a place to stay. I thought to myself, my unborn child will make an appearance for your dad first. Reasons are reasonable, but it's up to you. Almost every man, when it comes to their offspring and parents, will take a gamble. Speaking of children, let's try going with the flow for now. Like a wolf and tiger. Red sheets flutter. Hard work. The room filled with springtime charm. Landlady, weigh me a caddy of peanuts in the morning. The landlady looked haggard as she spoke. Ms. Lee. Your words made me afraid to respond. What landlady? It's just a small business. One caddy and one tail. Just pay for one caddy. Ms. Lee. You don't look well. Did you not rest well last night? Sometimes customers don't always want to take advantage. But you have to make her feel like she's getting a bargain. It's like two stores selling the same thing. One charges $20 and the other charges $19.99. Most people instinctively go for the $19.99 option, even though it's just a penny difference. But customers all feel like they've saved that extra penny. Boss lady, another customer has arrived. Thank you then. I'll let you get back to work. Seeing how busy I was, Sister Lee hesitated for a and decided not to explain her purpose so early in the morning. Gu Qian, you take care of the shop for a bit while I go visit Sister Lee. As soon as my husband came home from work in the afternoon, I grabbed some dried tofu skin and headed to Sister Lee's house. I had to hurry. Last life. The house had only been bought when the news started spreading. Li Jia, have you eaten? Last time you mentioned wanting to buy some, but we were out of stock. We just got a new shipment. So I brought some for you to try. You keep the money from your business. Here, have a glass of water first. Sister Lee said, refusing as she handed me the water. Miss Lee, here's this month's rent. Look. There are so many counterfeit bills these days. I placed 200 yuan on the table. Miss Lee used her finger to moisten a bit of saliva and rubbed it over the money to check for fakes before putting it in her pocket. Young girl, I actually wanted to talk to you. I'm going to sell this house. So you need to find a new place and move out soon. Why so suddenly? I asked, pretending to be surprised. It's all because of my good-for-nothing son. Who knows when he racked up so much debt. Now people are coming to our doorstep, threatening and demanding payment. Sister Lee couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with sorrow. Sister Lee, how much are you planning to sell this house for? I cut straight to the point. You've rented this place for years, so you know it well. The location is unbeatable and the foot traffic is strong. Just look at the bustling crowds every day. 70,000. Firm price. And I need the full amount up front. When it came to money, Sister Lee was particularly resolute. I understood that this was her bottom line. In my past life, it was sold for 10,000 less. Likely because others knew she was in a hurry and required full payment. Sister Lee, you know that my husband and I haven't had any children yet. So we've managed to save a bit of money. My business may look good, but the profits are actually quite slim. Besides, this house is a bit old. And I know your price is already very fair. Let's just forget I asked. I said with a troubled expression. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm offering this price because we're old acquaintances and you're usually straightforward. You can go check the market prices. Sister Lee didn't mince her words either. I hadn't expected to reach an agreement right away. So I left Sister Lee's house with a look of regret. Sister Young. 65,000. If you're really interested in this house, that's the price. A few days later, Sister Lee came to me and got straight to the point. Isn't the vegetable garden next to Sister Lee's place also yours? Could that be included? My in-laws really enjoy gardening. Sister Lee paused, clearly flustered and having forgotten about the garden. Fine. Fine. That originally was never mind. I'll give it to you, too. But I need the money by tomorrow afternoon. And it has to be the full amount. Not a penny less. Striking while the iron was hot. We went through the house transfer the very next morning. We also had the neighbors along the boundary sign and fingerprint documents confirming the garden's ownership, area, and borders. And immediately marked the boundaries with cement mixed with sand and stones. Years later, many people fought fiercely over the ownership. Their heads bashed in like dogs' brains. After getting the property deed, my heart finally settled down. With my eldest grandson attracting my in-laws, they were quickly persuaded by me to come and live nearby. And my father-in-law found a job as a security guard during the day, while my mother-in-law filled the vegetable garden with all kinds of vegetables and placed the money table next to the shop entrance in the morning to sell together. At that time, the clothing business was quite profitable. And there were no restrictions from city management on where to set up stalls. Every once in a while, I would go to the clothing wholesale market to get goods and set up a stall at the shop entrance. Both my mother-in-law and I could watch the shop and sell clothes at the same time without gusher in this life. Our family all worked toward a single goal. Drawing on the experience from my previous life, I paid special attention to everyone's health and diet. And we had regular health checkups every year. In the blink of an eye, 7 years passed. During these 7 years, I took advantage of low prices to gradually buy up a lot of vacant land around us and even purchased a small hill behind the vegetable garden. I used the loan to buy a building next door. My husband, seeing me obsessively and frantically buying up land, couldn't help but advise me. Buying so much land won't feed us. Wouldn't it be better to keep extra money in the bank and earn interest? Having money in hand keeps you calm and you keep saying you want children. At this moment, I once again brought up my cousin's father-in-law's younger sister's brother-in-law to build trust. Really? My husband asked, half believing. Really? He's been promoted again in recent years. Blah. 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 He finally believed it. The factory is going out of business and the severance pay might be around 100,000 yuan. That day, the husband unexpectedly came home early from work. That's not a bad outcome. It's a good chance to rest for a while. With over 100,000 yuan, we could go to the provincial capital and get our health checked and treated. The husband's disappointment over losing his job was instantly lifted by these words. Does it cost that much? Probably. I've been going back and forth to the supplies over the years and have found out if things go smoothly, it won't cost that much. And if it's twins, it'll be even more expensive. The compensation money came through quickly. Not as much as others said. Just a little over 100,000. But it should be enough to have a child. After a series of examinations, both husband and wife adjusted their bodies to the best possible condition and finally, the embryo successfully implanted. The physical and psychological stress during this period is something that cannot be fully expressed to outsiders. For the first 3 months of pregnancy, I spent almost all my time lying in bed. This is the child I've been longing for over 2 lifetimes and no amount of hardship is too much for me. The family, who had been on edge, finally breathed a complete sigh of relief after the baby was safely born. Holding my tiny newborn son in my arms and looking at his adorably funny little face, I felt a deep blood-related connection. A sense of pride that this was my own child. At this moment, I had completely broken free from the path of my previous life. However, at this time, Yaya was not sitting in a high school classroom, buried in practice questions for the final sprint toward the college entrance exam as she had in her previous life. After class, there were also the carefully prepared dishes and soups I made for her every day, each with a different twist. You said you were just married before. So, why are you bringing back such a big child now? As Yaya followed her mother into their new home, she was met with her stepfather's angry questioning. Standing beside her were her half-brother, who was only 2 years younger, and her younger sister, who was 3 years her junior. Husband, let me explain to you later, Yaya said, noticing the awkward and flustered expression on her mother's face. Throughout the entire journey, her mother had not once asked if she was hungry or thirsty, merely leading her along with an expressionless demeanor. Yaya's arrival plunged the family into a whirlwind of gossip, and they grew increasingly unwelcoming toward her. There was no harsh treatment like in TV dramas, only indifference, a form of emotional coldness, when people in the village talk about her. Oh, the one who came back with the dowry. The one who had a child with her previous husband, the oil bottle girl. After finishing the 3rd year of junior high school and completing 9 years of compulsory education, Yaya stopped her studies. Her once outstanding grades couldn't keep up initially when she moved to another place due to differences in curriculum and language barriers. Later, she realized that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape the label of burden sister, and gradually gave up. She dropped out of junior high to work. But she always felt as if she had lost something very important. I always felt that I shouldn't live my life this way. So, when it came to choosing a partner, I subconsciously went for a boyfriend from my hometown. After getting to know him and feeling that it was a good match, I married him a year later. Exhausted after giving birth to a girl in the delivery room, she fell into a deep sleep. She had a long dream in which she began her life in a completely different way. Starting from the orphanage in the dream, she became a high-ranking female executive at a Fortune 500 company, Riley Wind. And her stepfather and mother's family were very close, treating her with care and affection she had never seen before waking up. The discomfort after childbirth made her clearly realize that this was her real life. She had not married in the dream. She only left her name in the Gu family's household register, never to see them again until death. The money and time they had invested in her were what she deserved. This was her revenge against the family who had adopted her. But without the family's sacrifices, she is nothing. Yaya suspected that her adoptive mother had been reborn. After all, Everything had taken a turn since she hadn't taken her back. After leaving the confinement period, she came along to the address in her memory. But everything had changed indeed. In the dream, all I saw were old buildings now. The neighboring high school district has been completed. And there are many more tenants and students in uniforms here, with many buildings newly constructed. She noticed a very busy figure in a small shop with a high flow of customers. And when that figure turned around, she instinctively hid. Compared to the dream, the foster mother's face looked younger and more prosperous. At that moment, two elderly people walked back side by side outside, one pushing a stroller and the other holding a fair and chubby child. "Mom, Mom." The child reached out to me, and I picked him up, kissing his face. "Did you have fun with Grandpa?" "Fun. Fun. Good," my son's childish voice replied. Yaya was struck as if by lightning when she heard the child call me Mom. Did they already have a child of their own in their dreams? They had also discussed with her the idea of adopting another younger brother so that she would have a sibling by her side after she got married. It was only after her strong opposition that they gave up on the idea because Yaya didn't want an extra burden in the future. She had no intention of supporting her adoptive parents, let alone raising their children. Yaya felt a deep bitterness in her mouth. After the rush hour passed, she had a meal at the nearby fast food restaurant and asked the owner about it. That face. She had seen it in her dreams. "Boss, your braised pork belly is delicious. Fatty but not greasy. The pickled cabbage tastes especially authentic." Yaya gave a thumbs up. "Of course. That's my specialty dish. Everyone who tries it says it's great." After a bit of business flattery, Yaya casually asked, "I noticed the owner of the convenience store next door is quite old. Why does it seem like a little kid calls her mom?" Asking about the child, the shop owner looked at her warily, her face showing a threatening expression. "Don't get me wrong. I know this shop owner. I heard before that she couldn't have children. That's why I was curious and asked." Seeing that the shop owner didn't believe her, she even mentioned their hometown address and the names of her family members. "Oh. I was scared thinking she was a child trafficker. It's her son. She had artificial insemination a few years ago. I heard it cost over 100,000 yuan back then. 100,000 yuan was nothing compared to today's prices. But still, having a child was worth it," the shop owner said in her dialect. Sighing. "Over 100,000. That rich. Her husband lost his job and went bankrupt. But now she's a landlady. These 3 buildings nearby all belong to her. She doesn't have to worry about anything, even if she's crippled. It was so cheap back then. I should have bought it, too." The shop owner lamented her missed opportunity bitterly. "Mom, I'm back," Yaya said to me in a trembling voice. "Mom, miss, you've got the wrong person. I don't have a daughter. And besides, I couldn't have given birth to a daughter as old as you." I pretended to be both amused and exasperated as I looked at the familiar face before me. "Mom, I'm gushy," Yaya said urgently. "What, gushy or not? Yen lady, you must have mistaken me for someone else," I said with a pitying expression, handing her a bottle of water, muttering loud enough for her to hear. "Such a pretty face, but not all there in the head. What a shame. What a shame." Looking at Yaya's dazed and dejected figure, "It seems she's nothing without us. Admitting it is impossible. Let her guess. Keep your achievements hidden. Your name unknown. Miss. Check out this huge discount at the driving school. Just 5,500 yuan to get your license." Yo was handed a flyer. In her dream, she'd taken the small car driving test right after the college entrance exam. Just like her classmates in reality, she'd never even ridden a motorcycle, though it belonged to her stepfather. Everyone else could ride it, but not her. She cannot succeed without them, and they cannot live happily without her. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My lovesick roommate secretly took intimate photos of us and sent them to her boyfriend. After we caught her red-handed, she lied, claiming her boyfriend had taken compromising photos of her and blackmailed her into doing it, begging us not to call the police. We believed her and didn't pursue the matter. But then my lovesick roommate teamed up with her boyfriend to poison our water, killing us. She said, "Don't blame me. John is exceptionally outstanding and has already passed the civil service exam. He's going to become a high-ranking official in the future. I can't break up with him. And I can't let you ruin his prospects." When I opened my eyes again, I had traveled back to the day I caught my love-struck roommate secretly taking intimate photos of me. And she was crying, begging me not to call the police. After drinking the water Bella handed us, my two roommates and I felt as if our internal organs were being twisted by knives. The pain was unbearable. I opened my mouth to question what she had given us to drink. But instead, I spat out a mouthful of blood before losing consciousness. I faintly heard Bella saying, "Don't blame me. John is exceptionally outstanding and has already passed the civil service exam. He's going to become a high-ranking official in the future. If it gets exposed that he asked me to secretly take your private photos, he would be condemned to death. I can't let you ruin his future. And I can't break up with him, either." John stepped out from behind her, grinning viciously. "Anyone who stands in the way of my future deserves to die." "Bella. You did well." Bella, praised by John, showed a pleased smile. I was both shocked and furious. I never expected that for this reason, but Bella would help her boyfriend harm me. And several of my roommates discovering that Bella was secretly taking our private photos happened a week ago. That day, while I was changing clothes in the dorm, a flash suddenly went off. I followed the direction of the flash and saw Bella quickly pull her phone back into her bed curtain looking somewhat nervous. "Did you just take a picture of me changing clothes?" "No. I was taking a picture of the flower on the balcony." Bella flatly denied it. But I wasn't quite convinced. I snatched her phone and found that most of the photos in her gallery were of us in our underwear while changing clothes. While feeling angry, I was also somewhat confused. "Why are you taking our private photos?" The other two roommates also asked. "Could it be that you like girls?" Bella. "But wait. Don't you have a boyfriend?" Just then, a WeChat message from Bella's boyfriend, John, popped up on the phone. "Baby. Today's photos haven't arrived yet." Seeing this, what else is there that we don't understand? Bella secretly took photos of me and my roommate to please her boyfriend. We scrolled up and found the conversation between Bella and her boyfriend, which was equally disgusting. John. "Baby. Take more photos of the big-breasted girls. I love looking at them." Bella. "Do you like her?" John. "It's not just that she has a good figure. But you're still my favorite. Can you invite her out this Saturday so the three of you US can hang out together?" Bella. "I'm not inviting her out. You're so charming." "What? If she gets a taste of how good you are and won't leave you alone." The thought that all our private photos were sent by Bella to her boyfriend, who then fantasized about them, made us both furious and a little nauseated. We saved all those chat records and unanimously decided to report it to the police as it was a violation of our privacy rights. Bella got scared, suddenly got out of bed, knelt down before us, and cowed out heavily several times. She cried uncontrollably, saying she wasn't doing it voluntarily. It was all John who forced her. John had taken compromising photos of her and threatened to expose them if she didn't take intimate photos of the rest of us for him. Since we're all girls, our hearts softened. We only made Bella and John delete our photos and promise not to do it again. Bella agreed readily and even said she had listened to us and broken up with that scumbag John. But then today, under the pretense of going hiking, she lured us out and poisoned us. Her roommates who only ever had her best interests at heart. After I died, my soul drifted in midair and I saw with my own eyes how Bella laughed with relief after poisoning me and my roommates. Bella hugged John. "They're all dead. No. No one can tear us apart." John kissed Bella's cheek. "Thanks to your cleverness, baby. You tricked them into thinking I was threatening you with intimate photos, gaining their sympathy and keeping them calm." Bella looked smug. "How would those who've never been in love know that? Taking photos is just a fun part of a couple's relationship, and you're not the kind of lowlife who would use intimate photos to force me into doing things I don't want to do." They threw all our bodies off the cliff and our corpses were devoured by wild dogs, with no one ever knowing. Yet they remain at large, living quite comfortably. When the reporter interviewed Bella, she didn't forget to smear us. They'd been associating with all sorts of shady characters in society, so they might have offended some big shot. As girls, we should still keep ourselves pure and respectable. Fortunately, my boyfriend was by my side to keep me company. I was really scared being alone in the dorm after seeing them go missing. Public opinion gradually shifted from the disappearance of 3 female college students to blaming the students for not being chaste and causing their own demise. Everyone said we deserved it, and some even spread rumors that we were seen at entertainment venues happily holding hands with pot-bellied men. The truth is, we were perfectly fine. We had just hooked up with wealthy men and didn't want to return to school. My parents were so worried that their hair turned white, desperately explaining to others that I was a well-behaved and diligent student who would never do such things, begging everyone not to misunderstand me. Instead, they were ridiculed by netizens. At a time like this, you're still defending your daughter. It's your overindulgence that led her down the wrong path. Just looking at your face, I can tell you're no good either. You old thing. Stop playing the victim to get us to look for your daughter. She's probably living it up somewhere. Just not with you anymore. My parents, attacked by netizens and consumed by worry for me, passed away within 2 years. I hate Bella and John to the core. Perhaps my resentment ran too deep. For on a night when a blood moon hung in the sky, I was reborn. As fate would have it, in this new life, I returned to the very day I caught Bella secretly taking intimate photos of us, sobbing and begging me not to call the police. At this very moment, Bella was kneeling on the ground, crying her eyes out, tears and snot streaming down her face. You are all my good friends. I really don't want to do this, but I have no choice. John is threatening me with my bed photos. If I don't do as he says, my bed photos will be exposed. If the photos are exposed, I won't be able to face anyone. Please let me go. I won't dare do it again. At this moment, having long known the truth, I couldn't help but admire Bella's acting skills. We are all girls and have strong empathy. Just like in the previous life, my 2 roommates saw how pitiful Bella looked while crying and felt a bit soft-hearted. Tina. Bella is also a victim. Let's just have Bella and John delete all the photos of us from their phones and not pursue this any further. Another roommate added. Yes. And have them apologize to us in person, promising that they will never do it again and that none of those photos will be circulated. I didn't say yes. And I didn't say no. Spare Bella. Did Bella spare us in our previous life? When I closed my eyes, I see the scenes of us being poisoned, Bella and John smearing our names, our parents growing white hair from the shock and dying in sorrow. Seeing my hesitation, Bella grew anxious. Tina. Sherry and Lucy have already agreed. Are you still insisting on calling the police? If you do, John will definitely expose my bed photos. I'd rather die than live the rest of my life under everyone's judgment. That's really a huge moral accusation. Seeing that I remained unmoved, her eyes darted around. She gritted her teeth and soon came up with an idea while saying, Tina. If you don't forgive me, I might as well die. She rushed toward the balcony, pretending as if she was going to jump to her death. The other 2 roommates immediately stopped Bella, afraid that things might escalate to a life-or-death situation. They both urged me to let it go. Tina. What Bella did this time was indeed excessive. But it doesn't warrant death. Bella is also a victim. Bella has always been good to us during these college years. Bella looked at me with a pitiful expression, a flicker of smugness in her eyes, thinking I would give in after all. In the storm, I used to be the easiest to talk to, but I'm not falling for her tricks anymore. I hit the nail on the head. If Bella really jumped to her death, it wasn't me who drove her to it. It was John. If John hadn't threatened her with those photos, how could she have made such a mistake and ended up in this situation? Besides, John used intimate photos to threaten Bella. How can you be sure that John wouldn't use our private photos to threaten us into staying silent and not exposing the terrible things he's done? Bella quickly interjected. No. That's not true. John isn't that kind of person. My 2 roommates aren't saints. They're just college students with a somewhat foolish yet clear-eyed look. They noticed that even at this point, Bella was still speaking up for John and had already realized something. Bella. Even after all this, you're still defending John. Could it be that there was never any incident of young Ming threatening you with intimate photos? Did you fabricate this story to gain our sympathy and keep this matter from blowing up? Bella repeatedly denied. No. No. It was really John who forced me to do this. You have to believe me. I took Bella's phone and called John. Then prove it to us. While everyone's attention was on Bella, I secretly pressed the record button on my phone. Afraid of being exposed, Bella told John all about how the photos she secretly took of you as were discovered before he could even say a word. John immediately grasped the key point. So, they mean that as long as we delete the photos, apologize to them, and promise not to do it again, this matter will be considered settled. Yes. I interjected on the condition that you actually took private photos of Bella and used them to threaten her. Right. If Bella fabricated this story to gain our sympathy, then all bets are off. Just like in the past, John was eager to turn a big issue into a small one, And a small issue into nothing. He admitted directly. That's right. I was the one who threatened Bella to do this. I will do as you say. Just don't make things difficult for Bella. She is innocent. I was waiting for him to say exactly that. In our previous life, when we were poisoned by Bella and John, John once confessed that he was too panicked at the time to agree to our demands, deleting the photos and apologizing. In reality, he could have easily shifted all the blame onto Bella. As for how exactly they would shift the blame, they didn't specify. But I could guess a thing or two. Given how infatuated Bella is, if we had actually called the police, she would have undoubtedly taken all the blame upon herself. Her rhetoric was probably something like, she voluntarily took our photos and sent them to John to please him. At first, John sternly criticized her behavior, but when he saw that Bella was upset, he pretended to like those photos just to make Bella happy. In short, she is the one at fault. Definitely not John. John has always been outstanding at school, and people tend to be more lenient and biased toward excellent individuals, making it very likely that they would easily believe his explanation. By that time, they won't blame John. They'll only blame Bella for holding John back. With this recording, it's different. John himself admitted that he had Bella take our private photos. No matter how hard he tries to shift the blame, he can't escape it now. Back then, John developed the intention to kill us purely because of his excessive paranoia. He suspected that someone secretly recorded him when he apologized to us in person. Perhaps one day, we will expose this matter. He simply decided to go all the way and kill us to silence us, to eliminate future troubles once and for all. And this time, I really did record it. Just like in my previous life. We met at a cafe near the school that day. In front of us, John deleted the photos of Bella and us and apologized to us. My roommate Sherry doubted. You didn't keep a backup of the photos, did you? John repeatedly assured. Why would I keep them? If those photos were accidentally leaked, you would definitely come after me. Why would I bring trouble upon myself? Another roommate Lucy said. At least you know your place. You scumbag. Stay away from Bella from now on. If we find out you've done it again, don't blame us for being harsh. John raised his hand as if taking an oath. I understand. I promise I won't do it again and I'll stay far away from Bella. After forcing John to delete those photos from his phone and helping Bella get rid of the scumbag, my two roommates felt they had accomplished two great deeds. In high spirits, they dragged me to a restaurant to celebrate with a meal. But I knew it wasn't over yet. Bella couldn't bear to leave her dear boyfriend. She and Yenming had only pretended to break up. In 2 days, Bella would invite us out under the pretext of hiking, then join forces with her boyfriend to kill us when the opportunity arose. That mountain was a range of lofty peaks, perpetually shrouded in mist and clouds. We didn't want to go at first, but Bella said there was a temple at the top that was very spiritually powerful. It's the final exam period and everyone is under a lot of pressure from the exams. As college students with a somewhat naive and foolish look in our eyes, it's hard to resist the urge to visit a temple and pray. This time, we didn't make it back alive. The mountain has an extremely high difficulty for search and rescue and with wild animals scattering our remains. This is the reason the police were unable to find our bodies. As for why the police didn't suspect Bella, it's because she has a twin sister. On the day of the incident, her sister pretended to be her and was reading in the dormitory. The real Bella, avoiding the surveillance cameras, had been waiting for us at the foot of the mountain early on. This time, I will absolutely not let Bella and John's scheme succeed. But I think Bella and John will definitely find another opportunity to harm us. Bella moved out of the dorm on the 3rd day and started living off campus. She said she had done something wrong to us and couldn't bear to live with us any longer. This was somewhat different from the previous life. In the previous life, after Bella was caught secretly taking our private photos, she continued to live here as if nothing had happened. This time, she probably chose to move out because, unlike in the previous life, I wasn't as kind and friendly to her, and she no longer had the face to say, it's just as well that she moved out. It saves me from worrying all day that she might, in a fit of obsession, poison the water in the dormitory and kill us all to silence us. In 2 more days, John will receive the news that he passed the civil service exam, and there will be about a week for the public announcement period. During the public notice period, I will expose this recording in my possession. It's impossible for John to secure a stable job like in his previous life. He can go to prison instead. I'm not too worried that John will become enraged and seek revenge by killing me after I expose this. In his previous life, he attacked our roommates because he wanted to eliminate witnesses. Now that the recording is exposed, there's no need to silence the witness. If anything happens to me, the police will definitely suspect John. John wouldn't sacrifice the rest of his life just to get back at me. However, plans can't keep up with changes. This time, as soon as the public notice period was announced, before I could even expose this recording, my roommates and I found ourselves in a dangerous situation with our lives hanging by a thread. This semester is the last one of our junior year. In a few days, Sherry, Lucy, and I will go our separate ways searching for internships while preparing our graduation thesis. Lucy, like me, is a local. She invited Sherry and me to her home for an early farewell dinner. Following Lucy through the winding alleys, Sherry and I arrived at a residential house. All around were dilapidated houses overgrown with weeds, looking uninhabited. Only Lucy's house was slightly better in comparison. Sherry said bluntly, "Lucy, your place is so remote." Lucy smiled and said, "Who says it's not true? All the neighbors have moved away. But my parents have an emotional attachment to this old house, so they never had the heart to leave." We followed Lucy into the house, and I realized it was completely empty, not looking like anyone lived there at all. And Bella, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, came out of the room carrying a plate of food. At that moment, alarm bells went off in my head. How could Bella be here? Lucy confessed to me, "Tina, actually this is a place Bella rented outside. Not my home." Bella knows she was wrong, so she specially cooked a meal to apologize to us. But she was afraid you wouldn't come, so she asked me to lie and say I invited you all to my place for dinner, just to coax you into coming. Memories from my past life surfaced in my mind. Back then, under the pretense of inviting us to go hiking, Bella ended up causing our deaths. This place is so remote. What if Bella uses the same old trick and kills us together with John? I instinctively sensed something was wrong and turned to leave. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw John entering the yard with a chainsaw in his hand. Bella stood in front of me, smiling insincerely, and said, "Since you're already here, why not stay for dinner before you go?" I did not ignore the murderous intent in Bella's eyes. "I can't go out. If I go out now, I will definitely run into John, which will only hasten my death." I pinched my palm, trying my best to calm myself down. "All right," I agreed, then clutched my stomach, pretending to have a stomach ache. "No. I need to use the restroom first." I walked toward one of the rooms. "Is this the restroom?" Bella's expression changed, and she blocked my path. "No. That one is." I took a deep look at the tightly closed door of that room. My intuition told me there was something fishy about that room. But I can't worry about that now. I just want to take advantage of her inattention to ask the police for help. I held my stomach and went into the bathroom. The door lock was working, so I locked the door. I looked around the bathroom. The bathroom has a small window, but given my size, I can't escape through it. Without hesitation, I called the police. After a while, I flushed the toilet and opened the door. But there, standing at the door, was Bella. My heart skipped a beat. I wondered how long Bella had been standing at the door and whether she had overheard something she shouldn't have. I took the initiative. "Bella, why are you standing outside the bathroom?" "Oh, I finished cooking, so I came to call you." "Why have you been in the bathroom for so long? When you're squatting on the toilet, you can't help but play with your phone for a while." I waved my phone. "I just posted a moment ago on my social media saying you're actually pretty nice. Even after moving out, you still remember to treat us roommates to a meal." Bella's expression changed. "What? You posted on social media?" I nodded. "I even added a location tag. I was worried the police wouldn't arrive in time, so to be safe, I posted on my social media. I think the reason Bella and John dare to act recklessly against us is because they rely on the fact that no one knows they were with us when we were harmed. Now that I've posted on my social media feed, things are different. If anything happens to us, the police will definitely come after them first. If John has any sense at all, he wouldn't dare to target me and my roommates at this time." Bella dropped. "I'm going to buy some soy sauce and run towards the door, probably to stop John from coming after us." The police arrived faster than I had imagined. About 10 minutes later, they rushed over. Bella was already feeling guilty, and when she saw the police arrive, her legs went weak with fear and she collapsed to the ground. My two roommates still looked confused. Officer. We are honest college students and definitely haven't engaged in any criminal activities. In the end, the police discovered highly toxic substances in the drinks Bella was about to serve us. Just 2 sips would have been enough to reach a lethal dose. And in the room Bella wouldn't let me open. Plastic sheets were already spread out with several dismembered cats lying on them. At this point, what else was there for me to understand? Bella and John planned to poison us to death, then dismember us in this house. Before that, they specifically caught 2 stray cats to practice on. I broke out in a cold sweat. If I hadn't called the police and posted on social media in time, those dismembered cats on the plastic sheet would have been my fate. My 2 roommates also realized this first in disbelief, and then they directly slapped Bella a few times. Bella, have you lost your mind? We thought you had changed for the better. But it turns out this was a trap. You're trying to kill us. We didn't even pursue the matter of you secretly taking our private photos. So, why are you still trying to harm us? I heard you're still in contact with John. Did he force you to do this? With your level of intelligence, you couldn't have come up with such a malicious plan on your own. Definitely. When Bella was slapped by my 2 roommates, she didn't say a word. When my 2 roommates suspected that this matter was related to John, she suddenly began to vehemently deny it. This has nothing to do with John. He doesn't even know about it. My 2 roommates were shocked by her words. She's so lovesick. There's no saving her. I had a bad feeling. If the police can't find any evidence linking this matter to John and Bella is doing everything to distance John from it, does that mean John can really get away scot-free? On the way back from the police station after giving our statements, my 2 roommates were filled with lingering fear. Tina, it's a good thing you were sharp and sensed something was wrong. Otherwise, we would have all died there today. Lucy even apologized to me profusely. I'm so sorry, Tina. I really thought Bella had turned over a new leaf. Which is why I used my name to invite you there. If I had known she was so malicious, I would never have invited you over. I almost ended up getting you killed. It's okay. It's not your fault. If I didn't have memories from my past life, I wouldn't have been on guard against Bella, whom I spent every day with. Who would have thought that Bella would be so love-struck and John would be so ruthless as to want us dead? I added. Just don't take matters into your own hands in the future. I won't. Others might mean well, but end up causing trouble. But I almost got you all killed. After this lesson, I wouldn't dare do something like that again. The 3 of us went out for a meal to celebrate our survival. Just 2 days later, the police informed us of the investigation results. That day, Bella was indeed planning to harm us. She said that kneeling and begging us not to report her made her feel deeply humiliated, and she wished she could kill us to vent her anger. So, she found this abandoned house that was about to be demolished and no longer inhabited and invited us over under the pretense of treating us to a meal. Intending to poison us, she also had her younger sister disguise herself as her and go to school for classes. As for me, I suspect that John is definitely involved in this matter. According to their investigation, no connection between this incident and John has been found for now. Bella insisted that she was the one who planned the whole thing and that it had nothing to do with John. The police did not take her word for it and investigated the chat records and daily interactions between John and Bella, but found nothing unusual. On the day of the incident, John did come here, and he claimed that Bella had invited him somehow. As soon as he arrived at the door, Bella drove him away. He flatly denied holding the chainsaw, saying I must have been mistaken. This was also corroborated by Bella. She said she hated John, so she planned to kill him, too. Later, she discovered that I had posted on my social media indicating that I had gone to see her. Bella was afraid that if something happened to us, the police would suspect her. So she changed her plan to act against us today and drove John away as well. From the current situation, Bella will be sentenced. And her sister, who helped her commit perjury, will also be implicated. As for John, he will continue to remain at large. The 2 roommates were somewhat fearful. The police said this matter has nothing to do with John. But I feel like it does have something to do with him. Do you think John will come after us? I said with certainty. No. If anything happens to us again, the police will definitely go after him. He's not that foolish. My roommate was somewhat indignant. Why is it that Bella got arrested? But John is still free. I heard from John's roommate that he even passed the civil service exam and is treating his roommates to a meal today to celebrate. I lowered my gaze. John is still in the public notice period. It's uncertain whether he'll successfully become a civil servant. That very night, an anonymous post appeared on the school's confession wall. The incident of John coercing Bella into secretly taking our intimate photos was exposed. The students were utterly shocked. No way. Isn't John known for being both virtuous and studious? I never would have guessed he's that kind of scum. I never expected the beast to be right beside me. Didn't John just pass? The civil service exam is still in the public announcement period. Report him quickly. We can't let one bad apple spoil the whole barrel. John acted quickly and soon responded. Just as he had said in his previous life. He did not deny the matter. He just said he didn't force Bella to take those photos. Bella voluntarily took them and sent them to him. At first, John sternly criticized her behavior. But later, when he saw that Bella was upset and that she had some mental issues, he didn't want to upset Bella further. So, he pretended to like those photos to make her happy. As for the evidence that Bella has mental issues, it is the fact that after her act of secretly filming us was exposed, she actually attempted to murder us. Yet her roommate forgave her. Generally speaking, a mentally stable person would never commit such extreme actions. If Bella could step forward to testify for John at this point, the students might still believe his one-sided story. But Bella is already in prison. And no matter how love-struck she may be, there's no way for her to escape and testify for him, taking all the blame onto herself. Moreover, I also uploaded the recording of John admitting that he forced Bella to secretly take the photos. With such irrefutable evidence, no one believed John's feeble excuses. Damn. This guy is a total scumbag. Taking advantage of Bella being in prison to shift all the blame onto her. Could it be that he drove Bella to develop a mental illness? Can the school expel him? I'm embarrassed to say that a student with such poor character came from our school. Yeah. Get out of our school. You scumbag. Can this trash of a man just drop dead already? In my previous life, after my 2 roommates and I died, John and Bella slandered us, leading to the cyberbullying we endured. Now, all of that has fallen back on John. The school took this matter very seriously and directly expelled John. Due to a classmate's report, John was ultimately not admitted as a civil servant for violating the privacy rights of me and several roommates. John was also detained for a few days. During this time, John came to see me once. His hair was a mess. His eyes were bloodshot. And he exuded an indescribable odor all over. It seemed he had been having a rough time these past few days. He stared at me, clenching his fists. Tina. It was you, wasn't it? Your other 2 roommates don't have the brains or the guts. At this point, even if I played dumb, John wouldn't believe me. I'll just admit it. John yelled at me. Why? You promised me as long as I apologized to you and deleted those photos, you wouldn't pursue this matter. I retorted. Even if I'm willing to let you and Bella off, would the 2 of you be willing to let us off? John's expression showed a moment of panic before quickly calming down. He started playing dumb. I don't know what you're talking about. He took a few steps toward me. And the next second, several passing boys surrounded him, grabbed him by the collar, and started beating him up. John was beaten so badly that he lay on the ground moaning, unable to get up for a long time. The boys warned him. John. What a piece of trash. How dare he cause trouble for Tina when he's the one who did something wrong? I'm warning you. If you dare get close to Tina again, it won't just be a few punches next time. What's wrong with the school security? How could they let John, a social loafer, in? We should really talk to the security guards and tell them not to let just any stray cat or dog in. I looked down at him and warned him in return. John, you've seen it for yourself. If anything happens to me, the police will come for you first. If you have any improper intentions, you'd better drop them now. Unless, of course, you want to join Bella in prison. John didn't speak, but his gaze held a hint of resentment as he stared at me. The next second, someone kicked him. What are you looking at? Haven't we beaten you into submission yet? John was so frightened that he closed his eyes, not daring to look at me again. For a long time after that, I didn't see John. I saw John again in an unexpected situation that day. When I went to intern at a company, I saw John walking wearing a suit and tie with a work ID hanging on him, seemingly an employee of the company. I was somewhat surprised. The company had high recruitment standards, with the minimum requirement for employees being a college degree. And John, he was expelled from school and didn't receive his graduation certificate or degree. What surprised me even more came later. When I went to eat at the company cafeteria, I saw a girl in the distance holding John's arm, chatting and laughing as they walked toward the food serving area. That girl was none other than my cousin, who is 1 year older than me. The two of them lived like a couple. I sat in a hidden spot and noticed that John was extremely attentive to my cousin. Unlike with Bella, he always had a sense of superiority toward her and enjoyed her admiration. I understood why John was so attentive to my cousin. My cousin's family is well off. Her mother is an executive at this company, and her father is a doctor. After graduating, she came directly to work at this company wearing and using all name brand items. John's family background is average, and if he could marry his cousin, his situation could greatly improve. I definitely don't want to see my cousin stuck in a difficult situation. If my cousin marries a scumbag like John, her life will be ruined. That evening, I arranged to meet with my cousin. From what she told me, John's uncle is the company's administrative director, and it was he who made an exception to hire John. She works in the same department as John. A month ago, John started pursuing her passionately. She found him handsome and quite considerate, so she accepted his confession, and the two became a couple. I quickly told my cousin about all the terrible things John had done. My cousin immediately retorted, "John is a good person. He's not the kind of person you're describing. And besides, John already confessed all those things to me when we were together. He said it was his ex-girlfriend who ruined him. Look, his ex-girlfriend even went to prison, while John had nothing happen to him. It's clear that it was all his ex-girlfriend's fault and he was just dragged into it." My heart skipped a beat. My cousin, could she also be as love-struck as Bella? I revealed John's true nature to her. What if she not only doesn't appreciate it, but also repeats everything I said to him word for word? If John knew that I had repeatedly ruined his plans, he would eventually come after me. So, you choose to believe John, whom you've known for less than 2 months, over your own cousin. My cousin said, "It's not that I don't want to believe you, but John has always been so well behaved. He doesn't resemble the scumbag you described at all. My mind is a mess right now. I'd rather trust what I've seen with my own eyes than what others say." I sighed and said, "Don't tell John about my visit today. I know you're just looking out for me." A short while later, John called my cousin asking about her well-being with warm concern. She smiled sweetly, clearly not taking my earlier words to heart at all. I shook my head. Why are there so many people around me who are so love-struck? Before leaving, I said to my cousin, "Keep an eye on John. He really isn't a good man." I don't know if my cousin took my advice to heart, but that was the only counsel I could offer her. A week later, my cousin came to see me. Her first words were, "John and I have broken up." Did you believe what I said? No. I found out something. My cousin said that ever since I told her that day that John wasn't a good person, although she didn't quite believe it, she still kept an eye on him. Just 2 days ago, she discovered some cat abuse videos in the private files on John's phone. And yet, the image he usually projects is that he really likes small animals like cats and dogs. He even plans to get a cat with her in the future. The private files also contain some secretly taken photos of women. It's unclear whether he downloaded and saved them from the internet or took them himself. The content on John's phone indirectly confirmed that what I said was true. She decisively broke up with John and even had her mother fire him. A person with such poor character doesn't deserve to stay in the company. My cousin sighed. I've been too sheltered by my family. I know. There are bad people in the world. But I never thought I'd encounter one myself. This time, it's a lesson learned the hard way. She handed me a gift bag containing a designer purse worth around 70 to 80,000. This is a thank you gift for telling me the truth about John and helping me distance myself from that scumbag in time. My cousin looked somewhat ashamed. When I think about how I kept defending John in front of you that day, I just want to crawl into a hole. Did you think I was a fool that day? I'll be honest. I just think your love-struck is really off-putting. It really is off-putting. I feel like slapping my past self twice. After chatting with my cousin for a while, as I was leaving, I saw John standing at the corner. My cousin frowned and said, "John, how many times do I have to tell you? We've already broken up. It's over. Can you please stop pestering me?" John's eyes glared fiercely at me. "Tina, you've ruined my plans again. Just you wait." He turned and walked away. I shuddered at the thought of the intense murderous intent in his gaze when he looked at me. My sixth sense told me that John might not let me off easily. John was different now. He had lost his job. His cousin had abandoned him. And his future looked bleak. He who has nothing to lose fears nothing and is likely to do something extreme. These past few days, I've been traveling with others, trying not to be alone. But one night, I was forced to stay and work overtime at the company. By the time I finished work, it was already 11 p.m. And there were hardly any people left in the company. On the way home, I had to pass through a long, dark alley. I didn't dare risk my life, so I chose to stay for the night. I never expected John to be so insane. Or perhaps he was so wary of me, seeing me as a nightmare, that he was eager to get rid of me. I had just left the company when a man in a baseball cap rushed over, holding a sharp knife in his hand. Even though he was wearing a baseball cap and a mask, I recognized him in a glance. It was John. Everything happened too fast. I had no time to dodge. And John's sharp knife was already touching my skin. I thought I was surely going to die today. In the blink of an eye, a gunshot rang out, hitting John's knife-wielding right hand. The weapon fell to the ground with a sharp, clear sound. Plainclothes police officers swarmed in and subdued John. The charges: intentional homicide. John cried out in agony while refuting. This is attempted murder. How can it be homicide? Your accomplice Bella has confessed. The two of you previously killed a homeless person together. John was incredulous. Impossible. Bella loves me so much. How could she tell you about this? This would completely ruin me and her as well. Naturally, Bella realized that John wasn't worth loving half a month ago. I went to see Bella once. I told Bella. Not long after John and Bella broke up, he started dating another woman. He told that woman that during the time he was with Bella, he was very unhappy. It was also because of Bella's burden that he was expelled from school and couldn't become a civil servant. He didn't like Bella at all. He hated her to death. Now, seeing that she has ended up in prison, John actually feels relieved. He could finally welcome a brand new life. This is what my cousin told me. And she even sent me her chat history with John. She said that after hearing me mention that Bella's ex-girlfriend was also a love-struck fool, she thought that by reading these chat records, she might come to her senses and confess everything that needed to be said. Bella didn't believe it. It's impossible. He's not that kind of person. He promised me that as soon as I got out of prison, he would marry me. You must be trying to drive a wedge between us. I have the chat records between John and his partner, and I've already given them to your lawyer. Whether it's true or false, you can ask your lawyer and find out. It seems now that after Bella learned about those chat records, she finally gave up on John. However, I never expected that John and Bella had also killed a homeless person. Since I was also one of the parties involved, I quickly learned the details of the case from the police. This matter actually had some connection to me and a few of my roommates. John had Bella secretly take private photos of us. And after we discovered it, John attempted to kill us to silence us. He first found the location for the crime, that seemingly intact abandoned building. Once he and Bella were in the house discussing their plan to kill us, unexpectedly, a homeless man who had just woken up walked out of one of the rooms. Unaware of how much the homeless man had overheard, they decided to go all the way and killed him. After all, no one would notice if one less homeless person went missing in this city. Bella didn't tell anyone about this. Attempted murder would only result in a few years in prison, but intentional murder could lead to a life sentence. And John's betrayal infuriated Bella. If it weren't for John, Bella wouldn't have ended up in prison. He had clearly promised her that once she got out of prison, he would marry her. But she had only been inside for a couple of days when John started pursuing other girls. She had asked her lawyer to convey that she missed John and wanted him to visit her. But John always refused, saying he was too busy with work. This completely infuriated Bella. You have time for a relationship, but no time to come see her. Right. It seems he has long forgotten his vows. Why should she be the one to go to prison with the first half of her life ruined while John can happily fall in love, get married, have children, and live a normal life? She refuses to accept this. Then let's go to prison together. Let's die together. So, Bella spilled all the evil deeds that John had done. After receiving this information, the police immediately arrested John and rescued me. This time, I knew that both John and Bella were completely finished. 3 months later, the court delivered its verdict on the murder case committed by John and Bella, and both were sentenced to life imprisonment. After the verdict was announced, John collapsed to the ground sobbing uncontrollably. It shouldn't be like this. By now, I should have become a civil servant climbing the ladder of success. I even dreamed about it. Bella sneered. Dreams are just illusions. You're in prison now. So you might as well settle down and spend the rest of your life with me. John raised his fist at Bella, but was stopped by the bailiff. He roared. It's all because of you. You poisonous woman. If you hadn't told the police everything, how could I have ended up like this? The former couple had completely torn off all pretenses. Bella rolled her eyes and said, I may be love-struck, but I'm not brainless. Why should I be the one sitting in jail while you're out there dating, getting married, having kids, and living it up without a care? I shook my head. In my opinion, being love-struck isn't much different from being brainless. Walking out of the courthouse, I looked up at the sky. The sun is shining brightly, just like my future, which will be full of brightness. It won't be like my previous life, where my bones lay in a dark valley, unknown to anyone. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After going to the swimming pool with my best friend, my period was delayed by half a month. My best friend insisted that I take a pregnancy test. I was stunned when I saw the 2 bright red lines on the test stick. Although I have a boyfriend, I am a conservative girl and have never gone all the way with him, whose child is in my belly. I had planned to directly abort pregnancy, but my boyfriend was worried about the damage to my health and was willing to marry me to raise the child together. Until the day of delivery, I lay in the delivery room extremely weak. But before I could even see the child, my boyfriend pressed a pillow tightly over my mouth and nose. He pressed his entire body on me and said frantically, Did you really think I wanted to be a stepfather? Neither you nor this little bastard will have it easy. Having just given birth, I had no strength to resist and was suffocated to death by my boyfriend. Opening my eyes again, I was back to the moment I had just found out I was pregnant. This time, I must figure out whose child I am really carrying. I stared blankly at the 2 lines in the toilet, while my best friend kept urging me from outside. Brenda, have you taken the test yet? You're not really pregnant, are you? My hand trembled. And as I looked at the 2 bright red lines, I couldn't help but feel nauseous. In my previous life, because of this child, I was forced to drop out of school to prepare for childbirth. And in the end, I was even smothered to death. Until I died. I never knew how I got pregnant, let alone who the child's father was. My best friend grew impatient and opened the door to come in. But I had already hidden the pregnancy test. She looked left and right, puzzled, and said, Where is the pregnancy test? Am I really pregnant or not? I shook my head and said, I haven't had any sexual activity, so how could I possibly be pregnant? My best friend has a big mouth. In my previous life, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, she told my boyfriend, which led to everyone knowing about my unplanned pregnancy before marriage. This time, I don't plan to tell her about these things right away. My best friend said with a bit of disappointment, I thought you were pregnant. I heard that Jason is planning to propose to you. It would be perfect to have a double celebration. I felt a little uneasy. Why hadn't I noticed before that my best friend was so fond of children? I gripped the pregnancy test in my hand, carefully thinking back to everything that had happened since my last period. My boyfriend and I only went shopping twice. And we didn't even kiss. The child definitely isn't his. And I have never been alone with any other man. The only person I'm usually closest to is my best friend. But she's a girl. So that's even more impossible. I furrowed my brow and suddenly remembered something. A month ago, I went to the swimming pool with my best friend. At that swimming pool, I was harassed. That man deliberately swam close to me and even made some particularly lewd gestures. I was furious at the time, and my best friend even went off on him for me later. I didn't want to shower anymore and went to the changing room to wait for her. But I ended up falling asleep without realizing it. When I woke up, my whole body was sore. And at the time I thought it was just fatigue from swimming. Now that I think about it, could it have been that I was violated at that time? The thought of this possibility sent a chill down my spine. And I immediately went to the hospital. I not only needed to check if I was really pregnant, but there was something even more important. If I had truly been violated, there would surely be traces left on my body. I must find that person. After the ultrasound results came out, I completely lost hope. It showed that the fetus was already 4 weeks old. Exactly 1 month. The doctor asked me whether I wanted to keep it or have an abortion. And I immediately scheduled the procedure without hesitation. No matter whose child this is, I can't keep it. The doctor as if accustomed to such situations. Helped me schedule an abortion while muttering under his breath, "Girls these days really don't take care of their bodies. Getting pregnant at such a young age." I felt my face flush with embarrassment. But I had no idea how it should I say that I don't even know how I got pregnant. I turned and scheduled a gynecological exam, as well as a screening for infectious diseases. Who knows if the person who assaulted me had any illnesses. The doctor put on gloves and had me lie on the examination table. But after a moment, she furrowed her brows. How is this possible? The hymen is completely intact. So, how did you get pregnant? I was stunned. 2. I had already planned to gather evidence after the checkup and report it to the police. But this result was completely unexpected. The hymen wasn't even broken. So, how could I be pregnant? Don't be nervous. It's also possible that the male organ was too small, which prevented the hymen from tearing. The doctor reassured me. Although your situation is rare, it's not unheard of. I came out of the examination room, completely lost in confusion. It had been a month since the trip to the swimming pool, and now all the evidence was gone. Was I really going to suffer for nothing by having this child aborted without any clear reason? My boyfriend's phone rang abruptly. When I answered, his anxious voice came through the receiver. "Brenda, where are you? Your best friend has been calling me nonstop because she can't reach you. Did something happen?" I just realized my best friend had called me several times. But I didn't hear it because I had my phone on silent in the examination room. My boyfriend's gentle words made my nose tingle with emotion. But I immediately recalled the scene from my past life where you suffocated me to death. He clearly hated me to the core. Yet, he insisted on waiting until I gave birth before killing me. Could it be that this child is related to him? I hadn't figured it out yet when my best friend called. Without even asking for an explanation, she scolded me. "Why aren't you answering your phone? Do you have any idea how worried I am about you?" I completely lost control and tears streamed down my face. In my previous life, when I accidentally got pregnant, my best friend had advised me to have an abortion. But I was foolish and insisted on listening to my boyfriend. The doctor told me that my uterine lining was very thin, and if I aborted this child, it would be extremely difficult for me to get pregnant again. My boyfriend also promised to marry me, so I foolishly went ahead and gave birth to the child. Now that I think about it, how could a man willingly raise someone else's child? The only person I can trust now is my best friend. I told her I'm pregnant and then I'm at the hospital. Within 5 minutes, my best friend rushed over. As soon as she saw me, she hugged me tightly and said, "Pregnancy is a happy occasion. Don't cry. I'll call Jason right away." I shook my head and grabbed her wrist. "The child might not be his." My best friend froze for a moment. "You're playing with fire. Then whose child is it?" "Actually, I don't know either. Right now, I just want to get rid of it." My best friend stood by my side and promised, "No matter what you do, I'll support you." The next day's abortion procedure was accompanied by my best friend. But before I even entered the operating room, my boyfriend rushed over. "Wait. Brenda. Don't go through with the surgery. I'm willing to support you and the child." My hand, clutching the test results, tightened. How did he know I was here? I only told my best friend about this. I turned to look at her. And my best friend also looked confused. "Why is he here?" My boyfriend sat down beside me, panting, and took my hand, intertwining our fingers. "You forgot we turned on couple tracking before. I noticed you were at the hospital yesterday and have been worried about you. So I rushed over." He lowered his head bitterly. "I never expected that you would be pregnant. I know the child isn't mine. After all, we've never done it. But Brenda, your health isn't good. I'm afraid if you abort this child, it will be difficult for you to become a mother in the future. I am actually a very traditional girl and have no plans to be child-free. But if I were to give birth to a child whose father is unknown, I can't do it. I'd rather stay single for the rest of my life." I slowly pulled my hand back. "No. I want to have an abortion." My boyfriend froze for a moment, furrowing his brows and saying, "Why? I clearly don't mind anymore. So what are you still worried about?" My best friend couldn't help but whisper, "Yeah, Brenda. Abortion can be very harmful. Maybe we should think it over. After all, your health isn't great either." My boyfriend snatched the medical report from my hand and pulled me up without another word. "I won't allow you to harm your body. At worst, we'll get married next month. Don't worry. I won't look down on you even if the child isn't mine. I don't care." His words drew sidelong glances from others. And one nurse remarked enviously, "What a great man. Not even minding being the fall guy. If it were me, I'd keep the baby. After all, there's someone willing to support it." Although my boyfriend spoke with righteous indignation, he frowned slightly upon hearing the term cuckold. His words were not sincere at all. He just wanted me to give birth to this child so he could humiliate me relentlessly. I sneered in response. "Who are you to look down on me? Let's break up. My business is none of your concern." With that, I stood up and walked away, leaving my boyfriend staring in shock. I must figure out what exactly is the relationship between my boyfriend and the child in my belly. Although my boyfriend had previously hinted getting a room together, he stopped mentioning it after I firmly rejected the idea. I couldn't help but place my hand on my lower abdomen. This child definitely didn't appear out of nowhere. Could it really be, as the doctor said, that the person who assaulted me was a man with a very small? After much thought, I decided to go to the swimming pool again. I bribed the security guard to get the surveillance footage from a month ago. There were no cameras in the locker room, so I could only eye people entering and leaving. But after watching it over and over, I didn't find anyone suspicious. I couldn't help but feel discouraged. Could it be that I was wrong? Maybe it didn't happen that day. My best friend bought me a cup of milk tea and eagerly asked, "Brenda, I've sent Jason away. Now you can tell me. Whose child is it in your belly?" I bit my lip and shook my head. I wish I knew, too. All I remember is that we went to the swimming pool that day. And then I somehow ended up pregnant. My best friend was stunned for a moment. Then she slapped her forehead and said, "Could it be that someone did something in the pool?" I read a news story before about a man who deliberately masturbated in a swimming pool. And then many girls got pregnant. I almost laughed at her suggestion. How could that be possible? Sperm survival time is very short, and it quickly loses viability when exposed to the disinfected water in the swimming pool. But her proposal reminded me again of the man who harassed me that day. So I pulled up the surveillance footage of the indoor swimming pool once more. This time, however, I saw an unexpected person. How could it be my boyfriend? He was wearing a mask, sneaking around at the entrance of the swimming pool. Soon, he walked out of the surveillance video and disappeared into the restroom. I clenched my fists. He really was no ordinary person. Before I could even go to question him, the door was slammed loudly. My best friend went to open the door, but she was pushed down immediately. The person who came in was my dad, followed by my mom. As soon as I stood up, he slapped me hard across the face. Instinctively, I covered my cheek and heard my dad angrily scold, "Brenda, how did I end up with such a shameless daughter like you? Rushing to have a child for someone before even getting married." I looked over his shoulder and saw my boyfriend smirking triumphantly at me from behind. He pretended to sigh and said pitifully, "Brenda, I didn't want to do this either, but I was really afraid you would get an abortion. I've asked the doctor, and the doctor said your endometrium is very thin. If you have an abortion this time, it will be very difficult to get pregnant again." In my previous life, he used the same excuse. He rushed into marriage with me just to make me have the child. Although there was no wedding ceremony, no bride price, nothing at all, I was still overwhelmingly grateful. In my previous life, I felt I owed him, so I worked hard even during the late stages of pregnancy, trying to make it up to him. Looking back now, I was such an idiot. What the hell did I do wrong? I don't even know how I got pregnant. My dad gritted his teeth, his face flushed with anger. "I'm telling you, drop out of school and get married right now. When your belly gets big, just see how people will laugh at you." My boyfriend calmed him down. "Uncle, please don't be upset. Brenda can take a leave of absence from school and marry me first. Later, my mom can take care of the child, so she won't be burdened." My best friend brought me an ice pack for my face. I sat down on my own, my tone icy cold. "Who said I'm getting married? I'm not." My father widened his eyes, his finger pointing at me, trembling uncontrollably. "Then what else do you want to do? Do you still want to have an abortion?" My mother cried beside him and said, "What sin has our family committed? How could you get pregnant before marriage? If you don't marry him now, who else can you marry?" I was filled with anger and couldn't help but laugh in frustration. "Marry the child's father. Who told you the baby I'm carrying is Jason's?" My mom stopped crying and my dad stopped glaring angrily. I continued, "Jason is impotent. He can't possibly get me pregnant." Jason's face turned sour and he glared at me cursing. "Are you crazy? You've never even seen it. So how can you say I'm impotent? My mom couldn't help but ask. So the child really isn't yours? My boyfriend opened his mouth only to realize I had tricked him. He immediately said, Uncle, Auntie, even though the child isn't mine, I'm willing to marry Brenda. I won't hold it against her or the child. I rolled my eyes and said, I already broke up with you. Don't you get it? Even if I get married, it'll be with the child's biological father. My boyfriend gritted his teeth and angrily said, Then tell me, whose child are you carrying? Do you even dare to say it? I was stunned for a moment. And my best friend quickly stepped in to smooth things over. She patted my shoulder and comforted me saying, Let's all calm down and talk this through properly. My gaze lingered on her hand. And I couldn't help but freeze in disbelief. Then, I widened my eyes in astonishment. I realized whose child I was carrying. Seeing me speechless, my boyfriend sneered and said, I was going to spare you some dignity. But now look at you. Who else could you possibly marry besides me? Who would want you? A tainted woman who's had someone else inside you. Get ready for the wedding. But don't expect any bride price from me. My boyfriend completely tore off his mask of kindness. He didn't even bother pretending anymore. My best friend angrily shouted, What do you mean by that? Let me tell you. If you dare spread rumors. Just you wait. My boyfriend said impatiently. What rumors am I spreading? She's just indecent. Dating me while sleeping with another man. What else would you call that? My mother grabbed my arm and asked, Whose child is it in your belly? Tell me. Only then did I snap back to reality. I scanned the faces around me and finally fixed my gaze on my best friend. I shook off my mother's hand and said, Rose, do you know whose child I'm carrying? My best friend's eyes flickered, avoiding my gaze. Brenda, have you lost your mind? How would I know? Didn't you say you didn't even know yourself? I nodded and said, Then let's call the police. I suspect I was drugged and raped. The first ones to panic were actually my parents. My mother grabbed my hand. And my father scolded. What do you mean call the police? Don't you know who you slept with? Aren't you ashamed enough already? My best friend also said. You're not suspecting that man who harassed you at the swimming pool the other day, are you? Brenda. Even if it really is that man's child. You don't have any proof. Just give birth to the baby first. At worst, I'll help you raise it. My boyfriend sighed, his tone softening a bit. Brenda. Everything I said before was serious. I won't look down on you or this child. I'm willing to marry you. My parents nodded repeatedly. And my mother even bent over, grabbing my boyfriend's hand and saying, Jason, it's our family that has wronged you. Don't worry. When the time comes, our family will give your family a car as a dowry. We definitely won't treat you unfairly. I was so angry that I yelled. I said, I'm not getting married. Can't you understand? My dad raised his hand, wanting to slap me again. Seeing me glare at him, he reluctantly lowered his hand. Brenda, don't be ungrateful. You should be thrilled that Jason is willing to marry you. Otherwise, a girl like you who messes around would be the talk of the town. If we didn't have only you as our child, we would have given up on you long ago. My eyes stung as I looked at my delighted boyfriend. But the anger inside me only grew fiercer. Clearly, these are the people I love the most. Yet now I only feel a sense of helplessness. No one cares about my thoughts except for myself. I took a deep breath and said, Fine. It's just marriage. Right. I can do that. Jason couldn't help but laugh. Brenda. Don't worry. I will definitely treat you and the child well in the future. I don't want the child either. Jason. Let's be dinks. The smile on my boyfriend's face instantly froze. What do you mean? I touched my stomach and continued. I can't really let you raise someone else's child. Can I? Don't worry. I'll do my best to take care of my health. And we can have another one. As I spoke, I leaned toward him. But my boyfriend instinctively pushed me away. He said furiously, Brenda, why do you insist on getting an abortion? How can you be so heartless? I immediately pulled a long face and said to him, Are you really that eager to be the fall guy? My boyfriend said hypocritically, Brenda, I love you. I will love any child you give birth to. My best friend quickly added, Brenda, why not give him a chance? After all, having an abortion isn't good for your health. Having an abortion isn't good for your health. But is giving birth any easier? I look at them. One is my boyfriend from high school. And the other is my best friend of over 10 years. I don't know what they're hiding from me. But I know they must be aware of who the father of the child in my womb is. Jason. The day we went to the swimming pool before. Where did you go? Think carefully before you answer. My boyfriend, who had initially wanted to make excuses, looked at me, then at my best friend, and finally lowered his head in defeat. That day, I did go to the swimming pool, and I saw you being harassed, but I was too cowardly to step in and help you. As he spoke, he suddenly raised his hand and slapped himself across the face. I'm sorry, Brenda. I was wrong about this. Please forgive me. But none of that is what I care about. What I care about is what exactly happened in the changing room. I'm usually someone who has trouble sleeping in unfamiliar beds. So, there's no way I could have fallen asleep so quickly in a strange place, especially in a changing room with such poor conditions. My best friend gritted her teeth and suddenly slapped the other side of his face. All right, Jason. Are you still not going to tell the truth at a time like this? I furrowed my brows and saw my best friend, her eyes red, say, I'm sorry, Brenda. But actually, I know whose child you're carrying. She clenched her teeth and said guiltily, it's actually Jason's. I looked at my boyfriend and saw only pain and regret in his eyes. I'm so confused. How could it be my boyfriend's? In my past life, he literally killed me. Is he acting in this life? Or was he acting in the past life? My best friend continued. I didn't notice that the man harassing you had drugged your water. Later, you fell asleep in the changing room. And Jason went to find you. Who would have thought? Who would have thought he couldn't control his urges and ended up sleeping with you? Jason held his head and said painfully, I'm sorry, Brenda. I was just momentarily tempted. I didn't intend to sleep with you. But you held me and wouldn't let me go. I just reacted in the heat of the moment. His legs gave way. And he knelt on the ground, slapping himself repeatedly. Brenda, I beg you to forgive me. I promise I will treat you and the baby well in the future. He was using so much force that his face turned red from the slapping. My father kicked him. You little bastard. But a moment later, he still said, since things have come to this, it's better to get married sooner rather than later. My boyfriend knelt on the ground, tears and snot streaming down his face as he hugged my leg. Brenda, I swear I will be good to you and the child for the rest of my life. If you don't believe the child is mine, we can do a paternity test once the baby is born. I looked at him for a long moment. All right. I believe you. The atmosphere finally wasn't so heavy anymore. And my best friend carefully held my arm saying, Brenda, you have to forgive me. I didn't mean to hide it from you on purpose. I smiled slightly and said, of course. You're my best friend. I knew they were all just acting. All to make me obediently give birth to this child. I became even more curious about who the child's biological father was. Although I already had an answer in my heart, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was really that person. By evening, I became even more certain of this thought. To prove that he wasn't impotent, my boyfriend personally took off his pants and wanted to have sex with me. He was imposing down there, but my heart felt cold. They were really lying to me. The child isn't my boyfriend's at all. He couldn't wait to push me onto the bed. So I slapped him. Don't you know the first 3 months are dangerous? Do you want me to have a miscarriage? My boyfriend covered his face angry but not daring to speak out. He pulled up his pants and said pitifully, I'm sorry, baby. I'll go take care of it in the bathroom myself. He pulled up his pants and went out the door. And I secretly followed behind him, hearing him mutter under his breath, she's already been with someone else. So why act like some chaste and virtuous woman? I leaned against the wall, clenching my teeth. A moment later, my boyfriend came back. But he didn't enter my room. It was my best friend's room next door. I turned on the surveillance and saw 2 people rolling around on the bed. My boyfriend punched his shoulder and said, you're really bold. Aren't you afraid Brenda will find out? While nibbling on her neck, my boyfriend said, what's there to be afraid of? She's just a tool. Once she gives birth, I'll dump her right away. My best friend snorted. You better not let her find out whose child it is. Or we're both finished. But that person, she'd never guess even if she died. They turned off the lights and soon ambiguous sounds came from the monitor. Although I had prepared myself, seeing them actually entangled together still made me tremble with anger uncontrollably. It turns out these 2 have always been playing good cop, bad cop. In my past life, I was actually fooled by them so easily. If I hadn't discovered today that the ring my best friend was wearing was the custom ring I gave to my boyfriend, I might still be kept in the dark. The pattern on the ring is the initials of my boyfriend's and my names. That ring was clearly still on my boyfriend's hand before we went to the swimming pool. It was only when I saw this ring that I suddenly remembered the details I had been deliberately ignoring all along. This detail sent a chill down my spine and left me deeply puzzled. To test my theory, I invited my best friend to go to the hot springs with me the next day. My best friend's family is relatively well off and she often used to drive me around to travel all over the country. We've seen all kinds of scenery and she frequently took me to bars and amusement parks. But there was only one place we had never been to together: the bathhouse. We have never taken a bath together. This is actually quite common in the North. Close female friends often scrub each other's backs. However, my best friend has always used her cleanliness obsession as an excuse to never bathe with me. This also means I have never seen her body. When she heard I wanted to go to the hot springs, my best friend immediately refused. "You're pregnant now. How dangerous would it be to soak in a hot spring? Let's go together after you've given birth." "Can't go to the hot springs." "Then I might as well just give up." All right. I give up. It's just a hot spring." "Right. I'll go with you." My best friend sighed helplessly, tapped my forehead with a smile, her eyes full of affection. When we arrived at the hot spring, she refused to take off her bathrobe, insisting that she found it dirty, and just sat by the side watching me enjoy myself. I was soaking in the hot spring alone and asked the first question. "Rose, I've never heard you talk about your family of origin before. What do your parents do?" "My dad is a businessman, traveling all over the country. And my mom is just a housewife." "Why are you asking this?" "Rose, I've never met your dad. But I heard that your dad's wife isn't your mom." My best friend suddenly froze and for the first time showed a bit of anger toward me. "What exactly are you trying to say?" I looked at her calmly and said, "You're an illegitimate child, aren't you?" My best friend suddenly stood up, pointed at me and said, "Brenda, if you consider me a friend, don't say those 3 words to me, or perhaps you're actually an illegitimate son." My best friend was completely petrified, eyes wide open, unable to speak for a long time. What kind of joke is that? It's how could I possibly be a man?" I stood up from the hot spring and looked at her. "Then prove it. Take off all your clothes. We've been friends for so many years after all. We should be able to be completely open with each other by now." But she instinctively pulled her clothes tighter. "What exactly do you know?" That day at the swimming pool, I was certain that no one else had entered the changing room during that time except for her. But I never suspected my best friend before because she is a girl until I discovered that the men's ring I bought for my boyfriend fit her perfectly as well. Moreover, her chest is very flat, and although she doesn't have an Adam's apple, I've never heard her mention having a period. I voiced all my suspicions. A moment later, my best friend finally took off her bathrobe, and as I had seen, she was indeed intersex. But precisely because she was intersex, her male characteristics were particularly small and very inconspicuous. My best friend hugged me in distress. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have kept it from you, and I definitely shouldn't have gotten involved with Jason. But actually the person I like is you. I want to have a child with you. But I'm afraid you won't be able to accept it." My worldview is somewhat shattered. Things actually turned out exactly as I thought. The child in my belly is my best friend's. She confessed her secret crush on me over the years and assured me that she could take me abroad to get married and we would raise the child together. You let me catch my breath first. I was having trouble breathing, but my best friend gave a cold smile behind my back. Apart from getting me pregnant, my best friend is truly a wonderful person. She would protect me, stand up for me, and also thoughtfully remember all my preferences. If she were a real man, I would have fallen in love with her long ago. Since I'm not gay, but now she's only half a man, and I don't know if I can accept her. However, ever since the hot spring incident, my best friend has been treating me even better. When we got home, she simply packed her boyfriend's luggage and threw it outside the door. My boyfriend was so furious that he lost his temper, pointing at her and shouting angrily, "Rose, how dare you? Aren't you afraid I'll tell Brenda the truth?" Her best friend just said coldly, "Get lost now. Don't make me say it again. Stop pretending. If you really cared about Brenda, would you have ended up in bed with me?" Her best friend's face turned red with anger, and she grabbed a suitcase and threw it at him. "You impotent man still have the nerve to say that. Brenda already knows about all this. If you don't get lost now, I have plenty of ways to deal with you." My boyfriend originally wanted to say something more, but after meeting my best friend's gaze, he deflated. He glared at us fiercely. then grabbed his suitcase and left. Sometimes I get this illusion that it wouldn't be so bad to stay with my best friend like this forever. But as my belly grew day by day, the unease in my heart slowly amplified until that day when I received a long overdue paternity test report. I calmly opened the report. But after seeing the results, my entire body couldn't help but tremble violently. How could this be? How could she not be my best friend? I thought I had touched the truth. But in reality, I was still far from it. I sat down on the floor, completely drained of energy. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. And my best friend's gentle voice sounded from outside. "Brenda, could you open the door for me? I forgot my key." I instinctively hid the appraisal results under the sofa and opened the door for her. Before my best friend could even step inside, my mom barged in. She immediately slapped my best friend across the face, shouting as she hit her, "How can you be so shameless? What gives you the right to ruin my daughter's family?" I was stunned. And my best friend tried to defend herself while backing away. "Auntie, Brenda and I are truly in love." My mother spat in her face. "Sincere my ass. I think you just can't stand to see my daughter doing well. Are you going to be responsible for raising your child when it's born?" My best friend directly pulled out a bank card. "Auntie, there are 2 million in this card. Please take it first. Our family is very wealthy. And I will take responsibility for raising the child." My mother took the bank card with a mix of belief and doubt. Her expression still grave. No matter how wealthy she was, she still couldn't accept the current situation right away. It was actually Jason who had been hiding outside the door all along. And when he saw the bank card in my mom's hand, his eyes lit up. He lunged forward to snatch it. "Why give the money to her? I've done a lot, too. Even if I haven't achieved much, I've put in the effort." "Right." My mom refused to let go. And as the two struggled, Jason pushed too hard and ended up shoving my mom to the ground. Her head hit the corner of the coffee table, and blood immediately gushed out. Jason was terrified and turned to run. But my best friend rushed over and kicked him to the ground. "Brenda, call an ambulance quickly." After the police took Jason away and the ambulance took my mom, I was still in shock. Fortunately, my mom wasn't seriously injured, just some external wounds. I looked at my best friend beside me, feeling a pang of bitterness in my heart. I decided to give her one last chance to be honest. "Rose, is the child in my womb really yours?" My best friend stiffened for a moment, then quickly smiled gently my shoulder. "Of course. If it's not mine, whose could it be? Just focus on resting during your pregnancy. I'll take care of everything." My heart has completely turned cold since she still refuses to tell the truth at this point. I have no choice but to personally find the child's father. My boyfriend had just been released from a 3-month prison sentence for intentional assault when I showed up at his door. After 3 months apart, he had changed drastically. Not only had he shaved his head, but he had also been expelled from school and left with a permanent stain on his record. When he saw me, he cowered and shrank back saying, "Brenda, you and Rose have already ruined me like this. What more do you want? I came today to confirm one thing with you. Who exactly is the father of the child I'm carrying?" Seeing my bulging belly, my boyfriend suddenly burst into laughter. "I thought Rose trusted you so much. But in the end, it turns out she didn't even tell you this." I tightened my grip on the coffee cup. "What exactly do you know?" My boyfriend opened his mouth, then rolled his eyes. "Want me to tell you the truth? It's not impossible. But first transfer me 1 million. Rose is so rich. She must have given you plenty, right?" It's true that my best friend has money, but I've never asked her for any. And as for Jason, I don't want to give him a single cent. "Jason, this is your last chance. Either you tell me the truth now, or you'll regret it." Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure outside the glass window and lowered my voice to issue another warning. But my boyfriend still made an outrageous demand. "Brenda. Oh, Brenda. You're so pitiful. You're about to give birth and still don't know who the real father of the child is." As soon as he finished speaking, my best friend rushed in from outside and flipped the table over. "Jason, why are you so persistent? Haven't you had enough time in prison?" My boyfriend flinched in fear. And everyone else in the coffee shop looked at us with curious eyes. My boyfriend instinctively retorted, "I didn't say anything. But if you want me to keep quiet, give me 1 million. That's my compensation for emotional distress." A fierce look gradually appeared in my best friend's eyes. "Fine. 1 million it is. But if you dare reveal even a single word, I won't let you off. My boyfriend hurriedly agreed and quickly left the coffee shop. My best friend then turned and grabbed my hand. Brenda. Are you okay? Don't listen to his nonsense. The baby in your belly is ours. I shook off her hand and wiped the tears from the corner of my eye. Rose. How long were you planning to keep this from me? My best friend forced a stiff smile. Brenda. Let's go home. I'll tell you everything you want to know. After dropping me off at home, she hurriedly left again. She didn't return until that evening. She bought fresh vegetables and cooked a whole tableful of dishes. And at the dinner table, I took out that paternity test report. Brenda. The child is not yours. My best friend's face instantly turned pale. I continued. But the child is related to you by blood. They are your biological sibling. My best friend put down her chopsticks and said. So, you found out. It's really his. I don't understand. I've never even met your father. So how could I be pregnant with his child? My best friend held my hand and said. Since you already know, I won't hide it from you anymore. She told me everything. My best friend is the daughter of a mistress. But because her mother wanted to have a son to compete for the family inheritance, she took a lot of male hormones while pregnant with her. As a result, my best friend was born neither fully male nor fully female and lost the ability to bear children from a young age. But deep down, she still longed to be a girl, which is why she and I became best friends this year. Her father, who is in his 70s or 80s, is nearing the end of his life. He has 5 or 6 daughters, but no son. Rose's father is an extreme believer in male superiority. He boldly declared that whoever could give him a firstborn son would inherit all his property. It was then that my best friend had a devious idea. She set her sights on me, her closest friend, and decided to use me. After my best friend finished speaking, she tightly grabbed my hand. Brenda. I beg you to forgive me. Once I inherit this 100 billion inheritance, we'll never have to worry about food and drink for the rest of our lives. But you still haven't answered my question. I'm asking you, how exactly did I get pregnant? My best friend didn't dare to look at me and whispered. That day at the swimming pool, I put sleeping pills in your water and then used a syringe to personally inject my father's semen into you. I felt a wave of nausea and almost threw up. My best friend quickly reached up to pat my back. Brenda. I know you hate me. But you can't let hatred get in the way of money. Once the baby is born, we'll go abroad and live a life of luxury forever. I slapped her hand away. I want to abort the baby. Her grip tightened on my wrist as she said fiercely. I won't allow it. I've already gone this far. What right do you have to abort the baby? Besides, you're already so far along. No hospital would even take you. Then, she softened her voice again. Brenda. Stop messing around. Don't you want the money? I nodded. I do. But I don't want to become anyone still even more. I took out the surgery list. The child was actually aborted 3 months ago. My best friend stared at me in shock. The sound of a police siren downstairs gradually drew closer. I stood up and took one last look at her. Rose. Thank you for helping me avenge my past life. 3 years later, I was drinking red wine in a large villa abroad. Come to think of it, my best friend should be getting out of prison soon. 3 years ago, I deliberately provoked her, hoping she would help me deal with Jason. I never expected that in a fit of rage, she would run him over with her car and kill him. Although it was eventually ruled as involuntary manslaughter, life in prison couldn't have been easy for her. The moment I saw the paternity test results, I understood everything. But if my best friend could figure it out, could others really not have thought of it? His legal wife had long since used her means to conceive a boy. I simply went to his legal wife and signed an agreement with her. I would abort the child, and she would give me a generous compensation. Although it wasn't as much as the inheritance, it was enough for me to live in luxury for the rest of my life. I am not a tool, and my child will never be a means for others to fight over property. On the phone, a call that hadn't rung for 3 years came through again. It was from my best friend. Are you doing well now? Of course. My best friend chuckled on the other end. That's good. Brenda. Actually, I saw that paternity test report of yours a long time ago. That day when your mom got hurt. You hid it under the sofa. Right. I was stunned. Only to hear her continue. In my past life, I avenged you, too. After hearing the above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comment section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.